Chapter 91. Zombies understand military tactics. The soldier on duty at the entrance took the documents and carefully checked them. Please wait a moment. The soldier returned the documents and walked into the guardhouse, dialing an internal line. The military had electricity. External calls were definitely impossible due to base station and civilian satellite failures, but internal calls could be made. Before long, the soldier came out again. Please wait a moment, someone will come to receive you soon. Okay, thank you. Shen Vengong said. Aren't you from the southeast military region? Zhou Wenchen asked. Yes. Shen Vengong didn't explain further. Zhou Wenchen nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Anyway, they brought him here, and it didn't matter to him where they were from. Soon, the group entered the military region headquarters led by a military officer. At this time, Zhong Zhenjiu had just returned with 200 sets of combat suits and was a little puzzled to hear that someone from the central military region wanted to see him. Soon, Shen Vengong led Zhou Wenchen into Zhong Zhenjiu's office, while the others waited in the nearby conference room. Report, Commander, I am Tian Gang from the central military region, this is my identification. Shen Vengong handed over his documents. Zhong Zhenjiu took the documents and looked at them, raising his eyebrows slightly. Dark Knight. He knew about Dark Knight, a special operations group newly formed by the military and political director under the order of the Speaker, and its members were all mutants conscripted from across the country. He had overheard the Speaker discussing this matter privately in Kyoto some time ago. However, he didn't take it too seriously at the time. After all, people immune to the virus were extremely rare, so rare that describing them as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns wouldn't be an exaggeration. Relying on so few people to fight zombies was unrealistic, so he wasn't very interested. But now he had discovered combat suits, which meant that the number of people who could resist the virus could be continuously increased. Wasn't this more cost-effective than painstakingly searching for mutants across the country? Do you have any mission here in the southeast military region? Zhong Zhenjiu asked, returning the documents. Report, Commander, we are out here for training. Yesterday, we encountered this comrade at the junction of Yuzhou Province and Hushan Province. He said he had important information to report to you, so we escorted him here. Shen Vengong explained. Oh. May I ask who you are? Zhong Zhenjiu looked at Zhou Wenchen, who was covered in dust. Commander Zhong, I am Zhou Wenchen from the Matang settlement. Zhou Wenchen quickly introduced himself. Matang settlement. Zhong Zhenjiu jumped up as soon as he heard Matang settlement, completely ignoring who he was. Zhou Wenchen was stunned. You said you're from the Matang settlement? Tell me quickly, what happened? Zhong Zhenjiu asked anxiously. Commander Zhong. It was terrible, so terrible. More than 300,000 people are all dead. Zhou Wenchen's emotions also rose. How did they die? Zhong Zhenjiu asked urgently. That day, around 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, not long after sunset, the patrols discovered zombies constantly gathering on the opposite bank of the river, gathering more and more, estimated to be several 100,000. We were a little scared, worried that the zombies would attack the settlement, so we called you for help. Around 9 o'clock, they began to walk across the bridge. They moved very slowly, taking more than an hour to cross the 2-kilometer Mayan bridge. The zombies in front stood there after crossing the bridge, neither attacking nor rampaging. Before long, we heard gunfire coming from the opposite bank of the river, guessing that your troops had arrived to rescue us. At this time, the zombies on the bridge suddenly went berserk, frantically rushing towards the opposite bank of the river. In just over 10 minutes, the gunfire stopped. We didn't dare to go over to see, but we guessed that the soldiers who went to rescue us were probably doomed. Before long, these zombies frantically rushed back. The settlement didn't even have decent weapons, and it was quickly breached by the zombies. The security team, hundreds of people, formed a human wall, blocking the north gate, to escort me and the secretary out. We had no means of transportation and walked on the road for 2 days and 2 nights. If we hadn't met these comrades, we would have died on the road. Zhou Wenchen recounted what happened at that time with tears in his eyes and snot running down his face. Hundreds of thousands of zombies? Ambush reinforcements. Zhong Zhenjiu heard the key points. How can this be so unreal? Have the zombies become spirits? They're even using military tactics. Zhong Zhenjiu fell into deep thought for a moment. How does it sound like the zombies were waiting for reinforcements? Zhong Zhenjiahu said. That's right, we had that feeling at the time. Although we were unwilling to believe it, it looked like that was the case. Zhou Wenchen confirmed. In this case, this zombie siege incident was an organized and premeditated attack. Zhong Zhenjiahu said thoughtfully. Commander Zhong, isn't this a bit too mysterious? I haven't heard of zombies launching a premeditated attack. Shen Vengong, who was standing beside him, said. This situation is very important, I will report it to the council, thank you for bringing back such important information. You can rest in the military region during this time. Zhong Zhenjiahu said to Zhou Wenchen. Thank you. Then I'll trouble Commander Zhong. Zhou Wenchen thanked him. Commander, now that the person has been delivered, we won't stay any longer. Shen Vengong was also preparing to leave. Tian Gang, how about this? Since you're already here, don't rush to leave, stay in the southeast military region for a couple of days. I heard that your Dark Knight was specially established by the speaker, so you must be extraordinarily powerful. Take this opportunity to give our military region's new recruits a lesson and broaden their horizons. What do you think? Zhong Zhenjiahu suggested. Chapter 92. Is that so? All right then. Shen Vengong agreed after a moment's thought. As far as he was concerned, it didn't matter where or how the Dark Knight squad trained. There was no need to deliberately reject Zhong Zhenjiahu's request. Zhong Zhenjiahu, however, was feeling a little cocky at this point. He believed that with the protection of the combat suits, even zombies could be easily dealt with, so what was a Dark Knight squad? He was eager to experience the awesomeness of the combat suits and, by the way, teach the Dark Knight squad and the Military Affairs Department a lesson. Okay, I'll have someone arrange accommodation for you. You guys take a good rest first. Tomorrow, we'll have a live combat exercise, Zhong Zhenjiahu said, overjoyed that Shen Vengong had agreed. Yes, sir. Shen Vengong saluted and left. Early the next morning, 200 soldiers in combat suits stood neatly in the training ground. On the other side was the Dark Knight squad led by Shen Vengong, a total of 19 people including himself. Shen Vengong smiled awkwardly when he saw all the soldiers opposite him wearing combat suits. Luckily, he wasn't wearing a head, and others couldn't see the clothes he was wearing underneath. Otherwise, this scene would have been really awkward. During the assembly, Shen Vengong used his digital eye to send the scene to Dongfang Chen. Dongfang Chen smiled knowingly and sent a message. Train them hard. Subsequently, at Shen Vengong's suggestion, all 19 people on his side participated, and Zhong Zhenjiahu also had all 200 soldiers participate. Initially, Zhong Zhenjiahu disagreed, as it was obviously bullying. 1 against 10? Did they think they were invulnerable, or were they just too confident? However, since Shen Vengong insisted, he didn't say anything more. Anyway, they were all blanks, so no one would die. It was also a good opportunity to suppress the arrogance of these Dark Knight rookie recruits. The first confrontation exercise took place in an abandoned building within the military region, specifically used for training. Shen Vengong's team of 19 was the red team, responsible for defense, while Zhong Zhenjiahu's 200 soldiers were the blue team, responsible for offense. Soon, the battle began. Shen Vengong ordered the remaining 18 team members to scatter and hide throughout the building. The 200 fully armed soldiers entered the building in offensive formation. It should be noted that in the pre-match agreement, Zhong Zhenjiahu had specifically stated that these combat suits were bulletproof. Therefore, soldiers on his side would not be considered dead after being shot, but had to be captured. On the other hand, Shen Vengong's 19 people apparently didn't have combat suits, so they would be considered dead after being shot. Shen Vengong understood the characteristics of the combat suits, so he agreed without thinking. The team members were puzzled and felt it was unfair, but since the captain had agreed, they didn't say anything more. Therefore, in this confrontation, everyone was relatively conservative, trying not to expose themselves. Whoosh! As soon as the 200 members of the blue team entered the building, a strong wind suddenly blew. The wind was so strong that the dust it stirred up obscured everyone's vision. Everyone, close in towards the center, don't get separated. Someone shouted. Hearing this, everyone huddled together, moving towards the center. Swish! Unnoticed, a rope flew over and whisked away a soldier. Swish! Swish! Several soldiers standing on the periphery were captured one after another and walked out of the building in dismay. What the heck? Zhong Zhenjiao was no longer calm when he saw 7 or 8 people walking out in succession, all from his side. How long had it been? Not even a minute? So many people had been taken out? You, come here, what's the situation? Zhong Zhenjiao called over a soldier who had already been killed and asked. Reporting, Commander, a strong wind blew inside, dust filled the air, and we were tied up before we could see anything. The soldier replied dejectedly. Wind? Where did the wind come from? Zhong Zhenjiao was baffled. This was the consequence of him underestimating the mutants. Dongfang Chen had told everyone in the base 6 months ago that mutants were the main force against zombies. However, other people, including most of the upper echelons of the military, had not yet realized this. And this confrontation was the beginning. While he was speaking, more than a dozen soldiers came out one after another. Zhong Zhenjiao's face was livid. The most infuriating thing was that those who came out knew nothing, not even seeing a hair of the opponent. Even more infuriating was that the clothes of several people had been stripped off, which was troublesome. The gale did not last long, because the strength of the mutant who mastered this skill was still not good enough to maintain it for a long time. Whoosh! Just as everyone had just calmed down, it seemed that someone suddenly appeared and then disappeared. Immediately afterwards. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. People kept flashing by. Only the sound of the wind breaking in the air and the dust raised on the ground could prove that someone had indeed appeared and then disappeared, otherwise they might not have noticed. With the quick flashes of the figure, people screamed "Ah!" every time. The 100 and dozens of soldiers gathered on the scene looked around a little flustered, only knowing that the number of people around them was constantly decreasing, but not knowing how they were decreasing. Several people raised their guns and fired wildly, but unfortunately, they didn't hit anything. This time, more than a dozen blue team soldiers were tragically eliminated. They discovered a pattern: the 2 different attack methods could not be maintained for a long time. Comrades, we can't wait passively here. Listen to my orders. Teams 1 to 5 take the left staircase, teams 2 to 10 take the right staircase, everyone speed up and rush up. Their attacks can't last long, we'll take advantage of this gap to attack. Chapter 93. Upon hearing the order, the group quickly split into 2 teams and rushed towards the staircases on either side. The assault on the left went smoothly, and everyone quickly reached the 2nd floor. However, the right side didn't go so well. For inexplicable reasons, a group of people started dancing in place, then tumbled down the stairs in a chaotic heap. The guns in their hands all slipped loose and fell to the ground. They had been shocked, but the attacker was worried that too much energy would kill them, so it was just a light tap. Before anyone could pick up the guns on the ground, they instantly flew up, then were dismantled, turning into parts that clattered back down. Without their guns, this team became lambs to the slaughter. Several mutated individuals suddenly rushed out and quickly subdued them all. At the same time, things weren't going any better on the 2nd floor. Several mutated individuals put on the combat uniforms they had stripped off and charged directly into the crowd, with predictable results. Zhong Zhenyu was anxiously waiting outside when, suddenly, over 100 people emerged one after another, looking disheveled and dejected. Seeing this, he knew it was over, they had been utterly defeated. The enemy hadn't lost a single person, while his side was completely wiped out, all in under 20 minutes. Before long, Shen Vengong also came out with his Dark Knight squad, some of them carrying the combat uniforms they had just captured. "Commander, sorry, didn't quite get the measure of it," Shen Vengong said with a smile. Zhong Zhenyu's face was ashen. What a disgrace! He had carefully selected 200 soldiers, only to be defeated by a dozen or so greenhorns. If word got out, he wouldn't have anywhere to put his face. "Tian Gang, I'm very curious, what exactly is so special about you mutated individuals?" Zhong Zhenyu asked, sounding both impressed and inquisitive. "Qin Luo, give Commander Zhong a demonstration, but be mindful of your strength," Shen Vengong instructed Luo Er, who was standing beside him. "Yes, sir." Luo Er responded crisply. Shen Vengong chose Luo Er for the demonstration for a reason. First, Luo Er was the earliest mutated individual, and after 2 months of training, her strength was also the greatest. Second, Luo Er's mental control had a very strong visual impact, making it the most educational. Luo Er took a step forward, bent her legs slightly, and held her hands out in a lifting gesture. Zhong Zhenyu was just about to ask what she was planning to do when the next scene completely stunned him. A large pile of machine gun parts, pushed out by 2 soldiers on a cart, flew out of the cart one by one, forming a long dragon, flying back and forth above the crowd. Sometimes they formed the Chinese character for person, sometimes the Chinese character for one. Finally, they flew back into the cart one after another. After finishing, Luo Er gave Commander Zhong and Shen Vengong a military salute each and walked back. Is this a special ability? Zhong Zhenyu looked at the spectacular scene, dumbfounded. Something like that. Shen Vengong replied. Is this the strength of a mutated individual? Zhong Zhenyu asked. Each mutated individual's strength is different, with its own advantages and disadvantages, Shen Vengong explained truthfully. Too powerful, truly too powerful, Zhong Zhenyu exclaimed. At this moment, Zhong Zhenyu was like a hillbilly who had never seen the world. Commander Zhong, someone once said that the battles of the future will be battles of mutated individuals. I believe this statement is very accurate, Shen Vengong said pointedly. He was hinting to Zhong Zhenyu that it was time to pay attention to mutated individuals. Although mutated individuals are very powerful, they also have limitations, Zhong Zhenyu still disagreed with this point. Oh? I would be glad to hear Commander Zhong's teachings, Shen Vengong said humbly. There are too few mutated individuals, 1 in 10,000 is hard to find. There are too few such people to influence the overall situation, Zhong Zhenyu stated his view. This was also the view of most senior generals in the military. With the strength of the entire country, it might be possible to find 10 or 20 mutated individuals. But what use could 10 or 20 people be? Wouldn't they still have to rely on the vast number of ordinary soldiers? Not necessarily. Commander Zhong, I might as well tell you that I did not become a mutated individual after being infected, Shen Vengong said. This was the order that Dongfang Chen had just given, reveal the existence of the vaccine to Zhong Zhenyu and point to Yan Fangfang as the provider of the vaccine. Oh? I don't quite understand, Zhong Zhenyu frowned, not understanding the meaning behind this. What I mean is, if there were a potion. Shen Vengong only said half a sentence and didn't continue. You mean, there is a potion that can turn people into mutated individuals? Zhong Zhenyu roughly understood the meaning. Correct. Shen Vengong replied. What? Is there really such a thing? Zhong Zhenyu was shocked. If that were the case, wouldn't it be possible to mass-produce mutated individuals? Whether or not there is, you can find out by asking one person, Shen Vengong whispered cryptically. Who? Zhong Zhenyu asked quietly. Commander Yan of the Southwest Military Region, Shen Vengong said. Damn it! That kid was hiding something from me. Zhong Zhenyu gritted his teeth in hatred. He had just returned from the Southwest Military Region, and Yan Zhengping hadn't revealed a word to him. No, he had to go find him. Shen Vengong looked at Zhong Zhenyu, who was leaving in a flurry, and smiled knowingly. Then, through his digital pupils, he sent a message to Dongfang Chen, done. Sichuan Province, Yun City, headquarters of the Southwest Military Region. Old Yan! Old Yan! Get your ass out here! Zhong Zhenyu shouted as soon as he entered the headquarters office building. Chapter 94. What are you yelling about? Look at you, you don't look like a commander at all, more like a hoodlum. Yan Zhengping quickly came out to stop him, dragging him into the office. If he kept yelling, he would lose all his face. Old Yan, I really didn't expect you to be so disloyal. Zhong Zhenyu complained. What are you talking about? Where have I been disloyal? Yan Zhengping said unhappily, plopping down on the sofa. Let me ask you, do you have a serum that can turn people into mutants? Zhong Zhenyu asked. How did you know? Yan Zhengping frowned. Only he, Yan Fangfang, and Rong Po knew about this. Logically, no one else should know. Don't worry about how I know, just tell me, do you have it or not? Zhong Zhenyu continued to ask. Old Zhong, aren't you not interested in mutants? Besides, combat suits are so good. Soldiers don't have to worry about the zombie virus after wearing them, so why bother with the serum? Yan Zhengping said. In his heart, he wasn't very interested in the serum either, the combat suits were more practical. Even if the soldiers got the antigen, they still had to wear combat suits, so it would be easier to just wear combat suits. So that means you have it. Zhong Zhenyu persisted. Yes, I do, but that stuff isn't as cost-effective as combat suits, Yan Zhengping comforted him. You get what you pay for, don't you understand this simple principle? Zhong Zhenyu said anxiously. That's not right, old Zhong. Your attitude changed too quickly, didn't it? Yan Zhengping said suspiciously. Let me tell you, mutants are too powerful, our soldiers can't compete with them at all, Zhong Zhenyu said mysteriously. You met a mutant? Yan Zhengping asked. Do you know that the speaker has formed a Dark Knight team? Zhong Zhenyu asked. I know. Yan Zhengping replied. The Dark Knight team is now in my military region, Zhong Zhenyu said. And then? Yan Zhengping didn't know what he was going to say. We conducted a confrontation exercise, 19 people against 200 soldiers, Zhong Zhenyu said intermittently. Just say it all at once, it's exhausting to listen to you talk. Yan Zhengping said impatiently. 19 against 200, an average of more than 10 against 1, so what was the result? My men didn't even touch them before they were completely wiped out. Zhong Zhenyu exclaimed. Didn't you let the soldiers wear combat suits? Yan Zhengping didn't understand. They wore them. What would I be talking about if they didn't? Zhong Zhenyu glanced at him. Wearing combat suits, 200 couldn't beat 19? Old Zhong, not that I'm saying this, but the soldiers in your southeast military region need to train harder. Yan Zhengping teased. Humph. No wonder you don't take the serum seriously. Let me tell you, I'm going to take this serum, if you don't like it, I do. Zhong Zhenyu was too lazy to waste words with him. Old Zhong, it's not that I don't like it, but that stuff is really expensive. Giving it to everyone is not as cost-effective as having everyone wear combat suits, Yan Zhengping kindly advised. Why give it to everyone? Old Zhong didn't understand. That's right. If they don't get it, the soldiers won't have any resistance, wouldn't they be going out to die? Yan Zhengping didn't understand what he meant by asking this. Wait a minute. Are we talking about the same thing? Zhong Zhenyu was a little confused. Yes. Aren't you talking about the antigen? Yan Zhengping asked. Antigen? I'm talking about the serum that can turn ordinary people into mutants. Zhong Zhenyu seemed to have discovered the key point. That's right. That kind of serum is the antigen. Yan Zhengping hadn't reacted yet. What? Are you saying you have a vaccine here? Zhong Zhenyu stood up and stared at him. Yes. Isn't that what we've been talking about all this time? Yan Zhengping felt inexplicable at Zhong Zhenyu's reaction. Damn it! Holy crap! You have a vaccine, why didn't you report it? If we had a vaccine, wouldn't this crisis end quickly? Zhong Zhenyu was about to curse. What's the rush? Let me finish. Yan Zhengping pulled him down to sit. This vaccine isn't cheap. What do you think it would be like if it were released to the public? Yan Zhengping asked. If it were released to the public, it would probably be priceless, Zhong Zhenyu pondered. Then what do you think people who can't buy it would do? Yan Zhengping continued to ask. They'd probably cause trouble. Sigh. Old Yan, I simplified things, Zhong Zhenyu apologized. Furthermore, you also attended the council's meeting. Have you forgotten that the real terror is the virus? If it was just a virus problem, why would we need to build underground bases? Yan Zhengping reminded him. That's right. It seems that vaccines are not a panacea, Zhong Zhenyu replied calmly. Back to your original question. Both antigens and combat suits can resist the virus, but think about it, with the same crystal cores, would you choose to buy 2 sets of combat suits, or 1 antigen? You may not know, but the price of 1 antigen is twice that of a combat suit. Yan Zhengping was exaggerating a bit. In reality, the price Zhong Zhenyu paid for combat suits was almost the same as the price of 1 antigen. Isn't that expensive? Zhong Zhenyu calculated the price and said. Not expensive. Yan Zhengping was speechless. Isn't it just 320 crystal cores? That's too cheap, okay. Zhong Zhenyu said. Too cheap. Yan Zhengping felt that he were not on the same wavelength. Chapter 95. That's right, think about it. 320 crystal cores for a mutant. Holy crap. That's a steal, okay. You know the military has scoured the whole country and only found a dozen or so mutants. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find mutants? If that's the case, I can easily put together an army of hundreds of mutants and crush them like it's a game. Zhong Zhenyu became more and more excited as he thought about it. He couldn't wait to completely crush the central army. You mean? Yan Zhengping asked, as if to confirm. To also form a mutant team. Doesn't their central military region have a group of 20 people? It wouldn't be too much for me to have 200, right? Zhong Zhenyu said smugly, as if he already had a mutant group of 200 people. Are you sure mutants are really that powerful? Yan Zhengping asked to confirm. Didn't I say? 200 people fought 19, and they were even wearing combat suits, but they couldn't even touch them. And those 19 people were just newly recruited rookies. Zhong Zhenyu replied with certainty. In that case, forming a mutant squad is also fine. I'm just confused, why did I keep thinking about giving everyone shots? Yan Zhengping slapped his forehead, scolding himself for being muddle-headed. That's because you're too focused on the situation. Alright, it's settled then, I'll order 200 doses of the antigen. I won't owe you any crystal cores. Zhong Zhenyu waved his sleeve, as if he was buying something worthless. Yan Zhenping's eyes twitched, thinking that 200 sets of clothes plus 200 doses of antigen, and bought at a high price, and you still act like you got a bargain. You can contact Fang Fang about this, it's not my responsibility. Yan Zhengping quickly declined. He was afraid that Zhong Zhenyu would find out he had paid too much in the future and come to settle accounts with him. Besides, he had no say in whether he could supply the southeast military region. Alright, alright, alright. Look at your behavior, you can't even command your own daughter. Zhong Zhenyu looked down on him and turned to leave. When Yan Fang Fang learned that Zhong Zhenyu wanted to buy the antigen at a price of 320 crystal cores, her eyes also twitched. She wondered if she should give him some discount. But thinking about it, she couldn't set this precedent. If there was a first, there would be a second. These uncles and elders were not easy to mess with, so it was safest to keep quiet. Dongfang Chen didn't care about these things. Anyway, he was still trading according to the price he had set in advance, to avoid trouble. Even at this price, he was making a bloody profit. Moreover, wouldn't the crystal cores eventually return to his own pocket? This time, it was benefiting Yan Fang Fang and the entire southwest military region. What if the northeast military region, the northwest military region, and the central military region also discovered the equipment and antigens? Wouldn't they all have to look for Yan Fang Fang? In this way, Yan Fang Fang could sit in the office and have countless crystal cores flying towards her. She felt so good just thinking about it. Thinking about when she was in the base, she almost harmed several people for a few crystal cores, and was almost kicked out of the base. She blushed. The boss is awesome. From beginning to end, he's like a carefree cloud, doing nothing. Sitting in the base every day, he can easily make the 5 military regions of China work for him. Amazing. March 23, 2055 AD, night. Sichuan Province, Yunde City, urban area. A roar shook the sky. As the roar ended, the dark and quiet urban area began to become restless. Thin rustling sounds and low growls emanated from the streets and alleys. On the central square, a large-headed zombie stood there quietly, its eyes glowing with scarlet blood. Gradually, more and more zombies gathered towards it. Zombies were everywhere, surrounding the big guy in the middle. In about 3 hours, the square was densely packed with hundreds of thousands of zombies. If you looked down from the sky, countless zombies were still gathering towards the central square. They seemed to feel some kind of call, as if on a pilgrimage. Then the big guy let out another hysterical roar. The zombies surrounding it received the induction and roared in unison, as if responding to it. After that, the big guy roared again and began to advance north. The zombies blocking the front took the initiative to make way. The zombies behind followed closely behind the big guy and walked north. It could be seen that they were brewing in action. Midnight. Sichuan Province, Yunde City, Anning County. Headquarters of the Southwest Military Region. Woo woo woo. The sirens wailed. Yan Zhengping put on his clothes and walked out of the room. Guard! Yan Zhengping shouted. Here! The guard ran in a panic. What's going on outside? Yan Zhengping asked. Reporting to the commander, it's not clear yet. The guard replied. Then, the phone in the office rang. Yan Zhengping walked into the office and picked up the phone. Hello. Report, Commander. A large number of zombies have been found moving towards the military headquarters. The voice on the other end of the phone reported, his tone very urgent. How many? Yan Zhengping frowned. It hasn't been counted yet, but the conservative estimate is hundreds of thousands. The voice on the other end of the phone said. Hundreds of thousands. Yan Zhengping felt a chill down his spine when he heard this number. Chapter 96. Orderly. Yan Zhengping shouted after hanging up the phone. Here. Immediately order the 1st and 2nd artillery regiments to adjust their artillery muzzles, targeting the area 10 to 20 kilometers south of the military headquarters. Await orders to carry out a blanket bombardment. Order the 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 8th, and 9th Infantry Divisions to immediately return to defend. The 2nd and 3rd Divisions are to find favorable terrain on the 8-kilometer stretch of the road south of the military headquarters and construct the first line of defense. The 7th, 8th, and 9th Divisions are to find favorable terrain 4 kilometers away and construct the second line of defense. Order the tank battalion directly under the military headquarters to deploy all tanks on the road leading to the military headquarters to block the zombies in sections. Main combat tasks: 1st, provide fire support for the infantry divisions, 2nd, block the road and slow down the zombies' movement speed. Yes. Also, summon Rongpo to me. Yes. 5 minutes later. Report. Enter. Reporting, Commander. The Zhanfeng assault team is assembled and awaiting instructions. Rongpo shouted. Rongpo, how many people in our military headquarters are equipped with combat suits? Yan Zhengping asked. Reporting, Commander. Currently, besides our Zhanfeng assault team with 500 members, the 3 special forces regiments and 1 tank battalion, totaling over 3,300 people, are all equipped with combat suits, Rongpo said proudly. Wow! That many! Yan Zhengping was a little surprised. From mid-December last year until now, in just about 3 months, they had earned so many combat suits. That's because the surrounding counties have basically been cleared out, slowing down the progress. Otherwise, it would definitely be more than this. Rongpo said. Good. Excellent. Yan Zhengping happily slapped the table. Orderly. Here. Immediately order the 3 special forces regiments directly under the military headquarters to proceed to the front line and eliminate the zombies with all available firepower. Yes. Commander, if we do that, the military headquarters will have no defense. What if? Rongpo was a little worried. Isn't that why you guys are here? Yan Zhengping waved his hand. Yes. Rongpo said no more. The Zhanfeng assault team, with its full strength of 500 people, should be enough to protect the commander. Report. Enter. Commander, I request to join the battle. The person who came was Yan Fang. Nonsense. You just stay here with me. Yan Zhengping ignored her. I can do it. Yan Fang argued. Execute the order. Yan Zhengping had no time to deal with her right now. Yes. Yan Fang replied helplessly. The garrison locations of several divisions were not far from the military headquarters. This was also the entire armed force of the Sichuan province. The remaining troops had already been transferred to Leizang in the northwest region for rest and reorganization. It was already late at night when the zombies walked from Yundu City to Anning County. At this time, the first line of defense had already been built. Many tanks were parked haphazardly on the road, all with their muzzles pointing straight ahead. Sichuan province was originally mountainous, with winding roads. Many trenches were dug crisscrossing the slopes on the side of the road, and the trenches were full of people. The 3 special forces regiments, wearing combat suits, were hidden behind the tanks on the road. Preparations were complete, and everyone hid and waited quietly. Accompanied by flood-like roars, densely packed zombies filled the road in the distance, and under the leadership of several leading zombies, they were approaching rapidly. 4 kilometers, 3 kilometers, 2 kilometers. When the zombies entered the bombing zone, boom, 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 the artillery fire sounded. Where the shells exploded, flames burst out, limbs and broken arms flew, and flesh and blood splattered. The rolling air waves directly blew away the surrounding zombies. After landing, those zombies stood up and continued to charge forward. Seeing the blocking army in front, the zombies became crazy. The leading zombie let out a loud roar, and countless zombies began to run towards the tank group. Boom, boom, boom. Ta, ta, Ta! The tank group and heavy machine guns began to bombard and struve, and the zombies rushing in the front kept falling down. The zombies behind stepped on the bodies on the ground and continued to rush forward. They were not aware of fear, and in their eyes, there was only tearing and devouring. The most terrifying were the leading behemoth and several slightly smaller zombies. They were not shattered by artillery shells, nor were they afraid of the rain of bullets. They were blown away, stood up, and continued to move forward. The soldiers of the Special Forces Regiment were seeing such a situation for the first time. Why? What kind of zombies are these? Why can't they be killed? Everyone had such questions. In fact, the leader was already a Tier 3 mutated zombie, and the 4 or 5 around it were Tier 2. The thick skin cocooned outside their bodies protected them from most of the damage. Furthermore, unlike humans, the zombie's body was just a shell used for walking. Unless there was a broken limb, being shot would not affect their movement at all. Closer, closer, under the leadership of the leading zombie, these zombies had approached the tank group. The soldiers in the trenches on the mountains on both sides of the road also began to attack, while the 3 Special Forces regiments, using the tanks as cover, began to retreat while attacking. Clang! The leading zombie directly slapped the tank, and the tank weighing several tons was actually knocked back several meters. What a powerful force! The soldiers who witnessed this scene were all surprised. The soldiers in the tank were also shaken and dazed by this blow. Chapter 97. After entering the tank formation, the leading Tier 3 zombie let out a deafening roar. Several Tier 2 zombies beside it seemed to receive a command, splitting into 2 groups and leading a portion of the zombies towards the mountain on either side. Damn it! Do zombies have intelligence? They even know how to divide their forces. The soldiers in the trenches on both sides of the mountain instantly felt their hair stand on end. Zombies aren't scary, zombies with intelligence are. They didn't dare hesitate and began attacking the heads of the zombies charging up the mountain. Waves of zombies fell, and waves of zombies continued to advance. They climbed too fast, and soon, zombies were infiltrating the trenches. On the road, the 3 Special Forces regiments, although protected by combat suits, did not suffer any casualties. However, the combat power of the Tier 3 zombies was simply too strong, and the weapons in their hands had no effect. Soon, they were forced out of the tank zone. Retreat! Everyone retreat to the second line of defense. The division commanders of each division issued retreat orders through the intercom. The soldiers retreated from the trenches and ran towards the troop carriers behind the mountain. The soldiers who hadn't had time to retreat from the trenches were quickly submerged in the zombie tidal wave. After the bombing of artillery shells and the obstruction of the first line of defense, 1/3 of the zombies also died. Every tank was surrounded by zombies, frantically attacking, but unable to penetrate the thick armor. As soon as the tank moved, it threw the zombies off, and those who moved slowly were crushed by the tracks. At the same time, news of the first line of defense quickly returned to the military headquarters. Report, Commander, the first line of defense has been breached by zombies. Currently, the main force is retreating to the second line of defense. Zombies have entered the infantry positions, and it is estimated that more than 2,000 soldiers have been killed or bitten. There is another situation, the leading zombies have extremely strong attack power, and they seem to possess intelligence and can withstand our heavy firepower. Could it be Tier 3 zombies? Yan Fang said suspiciously after hearing the report. Tier 3 zombies. Yan Zhengping heard this for the first time. That's right. Boss told us during training that the skin of Tier 2 zombies will develop calluses. The calloused skin is extremely hard and can withstand ordinary bullets. However, it still can't withstand the attack of more powerful artillery shells. But Tier 3 zombies are different. Not only is their skin more resilient than Tier 2 zombies, but they also possess a certain level of intelligence. Judging from the situation reported just now, the leading zombies are likely Tier 3 zombies, Yan Fang explained. Zombies can also advance. Yan Zhengping was dumbfounded. That's right. Yan Fang replied affirmatively. No wonder Zhong Zhenjiahu said that the future war is a war of mutants. If Tier 3 zombies can withstand even heavy firepower, what about higher tier zombies? I can't imagine. Yan Zhengping suddenly thought of Zhong Zhenjiahu's words and sighed. That sentence was probably said by the boss. Yan Fang corrected. What exactly is this Xiao Chen? Why does he know so much? Yan Zhengping couldn't understand. This Dongfang Chen knew the characteristics of the virus from the very beginning, could predict the future ecological crisis, and knew the existence of high-tier zombies at the beginning of the virus outbreak, and understood the characteristics of zombies at each stage. This is simply unbelievable. To be honest, I don't know either. At the time, I just had a feeling that perhaps only he has the ability to deal with this ecological crisis, Yan Fangfang said with emotion. Yan Zhengping nodded and said nothing more. It seems that he still needs to interact with Dongfang Chen more in the future. Orderly. Here. Issue orders to each division to concentrate their firepower to eliminate ordinary zombies while ensuring their own safety. Order the 3 special forces regiments to use the advantages of their combat suits to attract the attention of high-tier zombies, not necessarily to eliminate them, but to entangle them, buying time for other divisions to eliminate ordinary zombies. Also, add that if they cannot eliminate all the zombies, they should retreat to the military headquarters as soon as possible and must not defend to the death. Go. Yes. Commander, what do you mean? Yan Fangfang asked. The soldiers of each division do not have the protection of combat suits. The approach of zombies will inevitably cause a large number of casualties. This is a huge loss that we cannot afford. Instead of doing this, it is better to withdraw to the military headquarters and use the defensive capabilities of the walls to block them, Yan Zhengping explained. Yan Fangfang nodded. Bang, bang, bang. The father and daughter were talking in the office when they suddenly heard gunshots outside the door. What's going on? Yan Zhengping frowned. At this time, the zombies were advancing towards the second line of defense, and it was impossible for zombies to enter the military headquarters. Bang, 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 bang. The gunshots became denser. Because it was in the corridor, it triggered an echo of the gunshots. Commander, enemies have infiltrated the headquarters, Rongpo hurriedly ran in to report. Are you sure it's people, not zombies? Yan Zhengping asked. I'm sure. They move nimbly and don't look like zombies, Rongpo said affirmatively. They are truly audacious. They dare to blatantly attack the headquarters. Let the Zhanfeng commando try to capture them alive. I want to see what kind of monsters they are. Yan Zhengping slammed the table in anger. Yes. Rongpo took the order and left. You few, protect the commander here. The rest of you, follow me. Rongpo quickly made arrangements after going out. Chapter 98. Yan Zhengping and Yan Fangfang stood in the office, listening quietly to the intense fighting outside. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, the door was kicked open, and several members of the Zhanfeng commando team flew in, immediately collapsing to the ground unconscious. The 2 were stunned. Then, several people wearing dark red cloaks walked in, led by a man wearing a blood-red cloak. Who are you? Yan Zhengping reprimanded. Commander Yan, a pleasure to meet you. Sorry for meeting in this way. The man in the blood-red cloak at the front spoke, his voice strange. You are truly audacious, daring to break into the military region headquarters. Yan Zhengping continued to scold. Actually, I wanted to visit Commander Yan long ago, but your soldiers are too strong, so I had to make some extra preparations, the red-clad man said. So, those zombies outside were all brought here by you. Yan Zhengping realized. Commander Yan has sharp eyes. The red-clad man admitted directly. So, the zombies outside are just a smokescreen, and your real target is me? Yan Zhengping asked. That's right. What exactly is your purpose in coming here? Yan Zhengping continued to ask. That's a good question. We have 2 purposes in coming here, the red-clad man said. Then tell me, and I'll listen. Yan Zhengping appeared calm. Firstly, I hope Commander Yan can tell us where you got those black clothes your soldiers are wearing, the red-clad man stated his purpose. Impossible. Yan Zhengping refused directly. Secondly, I hope Commander Yan can join our Red Robe sect. The Holy Sun promises that as long as Commander Yan joins, he will definitely get a position as a holy envoy, the red-clad man said, not caring about his refusal. Red Robe sect? I think it's just a crooked cult, Yan Zhengping scorned. Commander Yan, don't be so quick to judge. Perhaps you don't know much about our Red Robe sect yet. Once you understand, you might change your mind, the red-clad man said unhurriedly. Oh? Then tell me, what's so special about it? Yan Zhengping wanted to get some information and also stall for time. Our Red Robe sect has a way to protect you from the threat of the virus. I wonder if that's attractive enough. The red-clad man believed he had a firm grasp on ordinary people's thoughts. People act for their own interests, or heaven and earth will punish them. No matter how high your position, you are still just a mortal. This trick always worked for him. Yan Fang couldn't help but burst out laughing. She thought, could your method be better than Antigen's? Presumably, this is your beloved daughter? Indeed, a beautiful woman. The red-clad man saw Yan Fang laugh and didn't mind. Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth, Yan Fang said unhappily, her face cold. Commander Yan, I don't know if this is enough. The red-clad man didn't put Yan Fang in his eyes at all and had no interest in talking to her. If that's all you have, I'm afraid you won't be able to move me, Yan Zhengping replied. It seems Commander Yan has a big appetite. Why don't you tell us your conditions? The red-clad man said seemingly generously. I have no conditions. Hua Nation has always had zero tolerance for cult forces. Now you dare to openly attack the army, truly deserving of death. Yan Zhengping said. Haha. Commander Yan is truly humorous. Times have changed. Only the Red Robe sect can save those desperate people. I hope you don't make a mistake and harm yourself and others, the red-clad man said, seemingly earnestly. Nonsense. You are just a group of rats that can't see the light of day, yet now you dare to enter the hall. Saying things that sound grand, but you are just frogs in a well, making a fool of yourselves. Yan Zhenping's face was full of disdain. Then it seems there's nothing to talk about. The red-clad man was also unhappy. There's no question of talking or not, you are not worthy. Yan Zhengping directly shut down the conversation. Then I'm sorry, take Commander Yan away. The holy envoy turned to leave, and the red-clad men behind him rushed towards Yan Zhengping. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sharp, cold wind blew past, and the three red-clad men in front instantly turned into ice sculptures. Bang, bang, bang! Accompanied by sounds similar to glass shattering, the three red-clad men who had been frozen into ice sculptures were directly shattered. The people behind paused. It was Yan Fang who made the move. Her awakened ability was Ice Wind. A mutant. The leading red-clad man stopped and looked back at her in surprise. Dad, stand behind me. Yan Fang protected Yan Zhengping. Fang, you, Yan Zhengping was also stunned. His own daughter knows magic. Yan Zhengping felt it was so fake, wondering if he hadn't woken up yet. This feeling was like when Zhong Zhenyu first saw Luo Er use her ability not long ago. Dad, haven't I always been a mutant? Yan Fang explained. But Yan Zhengping knew that his daughter was a mutant, but he didn't know that mutants were so powerful. Little girl, you surprise me. No wonder you look down on the conditions we offered. It turns out you are already a mutant. The red-clad man was a little excited. Yan Fang wanted to vomit. She was at least 30 years old, yet she was called a little girl by a disgusting man who didn't even show his face. Chapter 99. You don't know half of it. My dad's right, you're just a bunch of frogs in a well, only good for making fools of yourselves. Yan Fang retorted. Looks like this trip wasn't in vain. You three, take her down, but be gentle. Don't hurt her, I want to offer her to the Holy Sun. The red-robed man ordered the three beside him. Yes. The three acknowledged and rushed towards Yan Fang. Yan Fang swiftly launched an ice wind towards the three, but this time it didn't freeze them. Instead, one of them directly shattered it. So strong. Yan Fang was shocked. Woof. Just as the three were closing in, a dog suddenly appeared out of nowhere and pounced on them, interrupting their attack. Missing its mark, the dog immediately turned around and pounced again. This dog was none other than Yan Fang's mechanical dog. Yan Fang breathed a sigh of relief, but didn't dare to attack proactively, as she still had to protect her father. The mechanical dog had no vital signs and couldn't be injured. The three were temporarily unable to subdue it. However, a single dog certainly couldn't hold back three people. One of them was assigned to deal with the dog, while the other two freed themselves up to continue attacking Yan Fang. Yan Fang launched several more ice winds in succession, but unfortunately, the opponents were prepared and they had no effect whatsoever. Repeatedly using her abilities took a great toll on her stamina. She took out a pistol from her body and quickly fired. Clearly, the bullets only managed to stall them for 1 second, having no other effect. There was nothing she could do, the difference in strength was too great. The two successfully closed in and captured Yan Fang. That's right. Why bother with futile struggles? It wouldn't be good if you got hurt. The lead red-robed man said. Fang. Yan Zhengping shouted in alarm as he saw his daughter being captured. At the same time, the mechanical dog was finally smashed to pieces, turning into a pile of parts. It's actually a mechanical dog. The red-robed man was very curious when he saw this. The level of simulation is very high. Take this dog back with us later. The red-robed man instructed. Yes. The man who destroyed the mechanical dog replied. Commander Yan, see, you had to let it come to this. But this is good too, now we can sit down and talk peacefully. The red-robed man said to Yan Zhengping. Humph. I'll say it again, you're just a bunch of rats who can't see the light of day, unworthy to talk to me. Yan Zhengping sternly refused. I believe Commander Yan will change his mind. Do it. Saying that, the red-robed man directly ordered. The red-robed man who finished off the mechanical dog understood, stepped forward, formed claws with both hands, and pushed forward horizontally. Two red curtains flew out from the cloak behind him, rotating into a cylinder, surrounding Yan Zhengping in the middle. Dad! Yan Fang shouted. She couldn't care about so much now, closed her eyes, and quickly activated the dog tag on her body. Hundreds of thousands of invisible nanobots swarmed out from the dog tag and flew towards the two who were controlling her. The two behind her noticed something was wrong, feeling their arms disappearing, but it was too late. In a matter of seconds, the two disappeared from the room. The lead red-robed man was stunned. What kind of method was this? What happened to those two? Yan Fang didn't dare to delay, and immediately ordered the nanobots to attack the red curtain. Unfortunately, only 1/3 of the red curtain was decomposed before the nanobots ran out of energy and had to return. But even so, it was enough. The man who released the red curtain saw this scene and quickly retracted it. At this time, Yan Zhengping had inhaled a lot of hallucinogens and directly fainted on the ground. What did you do to him? Yan Fang angrily questioned the remaining two red-robed men. Little girl, I'm becoming more and more curious about you. You have many secrets. How about we make a deal? The lead red-robed man said. What deal? Yan Fang asked. Come back to the red robe cult with me, tell me your secrets, and as a condition of the deal, I can guarantee your father's safety. He said, using Yan Zhengping as a bargaining chip. Impossible, you can forget about it. Yan Fang directly refused. She had already contacted Dongfang Chen through her digital eye. Although it was very late, she had no other choice. Dongfang Chen was sleeping soundly when he was suddenly woken up, feeling a little unhappy. But when he saw the scene opposite him through the digital eye, he was instantly wide awake. Where are you? How did you encounter the Red Robe cult? Dongfang Chen asked. I'm at the military region headquarters. Yan Fang couldn't answer, so she could only send the message through text. The Red Robe cult is invading the Southwest Military Region headquarters? Are they that bold? Dongfang Chen found it unbelievable. It's not convenient to talk now. My dad fainted after being surrounded by the red curtain. Do you know why? Yan Fang sent the question. The red curtain releases hallucinogens, and people will faint after inhaling them, but it's not fatal. Dongfang Chen replied. Yan Fang breathed a sigh of relief when she heard Dongfang Chen's answer. So, the red-robed man in front of her was trying to trick her. Yan Fang, hold on a little longer. Tong Li has already arrived at the headquarters and will be there soon. Dongfang Chen said. He originally wanted to see who was nearby who could support Yan Fang, but he didn't expect to find that Tong Li was at the Southwest Military Region headquarters when he checked, so he contacted him. Tong Li had been at the Anning resettlement in Yun City. The person Yan Fang saw standing in the mountains 2 months ago was Tong Li. After discovering the zombie army, he followed them all the way, but he didn't expect the target to be the Southwest Military Region headquarters, so he bypassed the zombies and headed straight to the headquarters. Chapter 100. Hearing Dongfang Chen's reminder, Yan Fang felt much more confident. It doesn't matter if you disagree, it's just that your father might have to suffer a little, the red-clothed man continued to threaten. It's just some hallucinogens, I can handle it, Yan Fang said, following Dongfang Chen's advice, preparing to stall for time. How do you know? The red-clothed man was surprised. I know more than you can imagine. If I'm not mistaken, your identity should be a holy envoy, right? Yan Fangfang continued. These words were all taught to her by Dongfang Chen. She was also absorbing this information as she spoke. You even know about holy envoys. The man was even more surprised. With just a few words, Yan Fangfang had already bluffed the red-clothed man. Not only do I know about holy envoys, but I also know about the spirit summoning technique. Yan Fangfang continued to drop bombs. Just who are you? How are you so clear about the affairs of the church? The red-clothed man was no longer calm. He knew that only someone of his level would know about the spirit summoning technique. In my opinion, your tricks are just child's play, nothing special. Yan Fangfang pretended to be profound. Acting mysterious, do you think you can scare me? The red-clothed man probed. Maybe, but let me tell you, the pills you eat, although they can allow you to resist the virus, also have great side effects, Yan Fangfang said. What did you say? The red-clothed man seemed visibly nervous. Dongfang Chen had previously learned from the holy envoy of the red-clothed sect that after taking a certain pill, they were able to resist the zombie virus. However, judging from their physical condition, there was definitely a price to pay, and he guessed that the side effects were definitely not small. Now you've become neither human nor ghost, I don't know what's so great about it, Yan Fangfang mocked. You, how do you know these things? This is impossible. The holy envoy was very shocked. I told you, I know far more than you can imagine. I'll quietly tell you, I can solve your physical problems, Yan Fangfang pretended to whisper. The holy envoy was stunned, and the only remaining subordinate wearing a dark red cloak next to him shuddered when he heard this. Seeing this situation, Yan Fangfang smiled smugly. With your appearance, you still want to fool people? Look, you've been fooled into lameness, right? Yan Fangfang thought. If she can really solve my physical problems, then this little girl's value is too great. The holy envoy thought. Not only does he have this need, but who in the church doesn't have this need? They have become stronger, but this body that even they hate has become the greatest pain in their hearts. Look at me, while gaining strength, I'm also immune to the virus, right? If you can break away from the red-clothed sect and abandon darkness to embrace the light, maybe I can consider curing you. Yan Fangfang continued to bluff. The holy envoy didn't speak. Oh, right, you can too. Why don't you follow me? Following him has no future. I understand, you were infected with the virus and had no choice but to join the red-clothed sect. Now it's different, you have a better choice. Yan Fangfang saw that the holy envoy didn't speak, so she turned her head and started bluffing the subordinate next to him. Dongfang Chen had also guessed this. Last time, he discovered that the red-clothed sect's level of developing its forces was average, and everyone was just a miserable person persecuted by the virus. After hearing Yan Fangfang's words, the subordinate was a little tempted. He turned to look at the holy envoy, waiting for his attitude. How do you prove that what you said is true? The holy envoy asked. He wasn't wavering, he just wanted to confirm whether the words of the girl in front of him were true or false. I am the proof, and the person behind you can also prove it. Yan Fangfang pointed behind the holy envoy and said. What? Reminded by Yan Fangfang's words, the holy envoy hurriedly looked back. But it was already too late. Under Dongfang Chen's reminder, Tong Li decisively used the tag. The holy envoy fell to the ground with a thud, his feet instantly disintegrated. Then the nanomachines did not continue upwards, but crawled towards his two arms, disintegrating them as well. At this time, the holy envoy, without hands or feet, had become a useless person. He roared angrily, but no one paid him any attention. Much useful information could still be extracted from his mouth, so his life could not be taken for the time being. The holy envoy's subordinate had completely lost his fighting spirit at this time and decisively knelt down to surrender. Before long, Rongpo, who had been drawn away by the firepower, rushed back. Seeing the Zhanfeng assault team members lying all over the ground, cold sweat instantly broke out on his forehead. That was close. Rongpo thought. Commander. Walking in, Rongpo saw Yan Zhengping lying on the desk and was startled, shouting loudly. What are you yelling about? The commander is just unconscious. Yan Fangfang scolded. Ah? Oh. That's good, that's good. Rongpo breathed a sigh of relief. Call a few people to carry him down and lock him up. Guard him closely 24 hours a day, no one is allowed to approach. Yan Fang pointed at the holy envoy who was roaring and shouting on the ground and said. Yes. Rongpo accepted the order. What is your status in the red-clothed sect? Yan Fang walked to the red-clothed man kneeling on the ground. At this time, the red-clothed man had been controlled by the Zhanfeng assault team and was no longer a danger. Chapter 101. Reporting, Commander, my identity is an enforcer, the red-clothed man replied tremulously, completely devoid of his initial arrogance. While Yan Fang was asking, Dongfang Chen was also explaining the relevant matters to her through the bone microphone, so she quickly sorted things out. Why did you attack the headquarters? Yan Fang continued to ask. This was actually a pre-arranged plan. It's just that we discovered that your soldiers were wearing strange clothes that were immune to the virus and could easily kill zombies. So, we had to postpone the attack plan, the red-clothed man explained, shivering. To have such little courage and still dare to attack the military region headquarters? And almost succeeded? Yan Fang was also speechless, feeling that the current deployment of the military region was no longer keeping up with the changing situation. And then? What is your plan? Yan Fang continued to ask. The original plan was to mobilize the zombies in Yundu City to attack the headquarters to attract firepower. And we would secretly infiltrate, using this method to capture. He didn't dare to say it. A feint to the east and attack in the west, deceiving the heavens and crossing the sea. Yan Fang understood and exclaimed. They had been targeted long ago. You guys are really bold. You even dare to openly attack the commander. Speak. What is your purpose in doing this? Yan Fang scolded. I also don't know. We are just following orders. The red-clothed man was very scared and also looked very aggrieved. All right, then I'll ask you, how did you know the specific location of the headquarters and also understand the internal structure of the military region? Yan Fang changed the question. I don't know, I really don't know. The Holy Envoy, yes, the Holy Envoy knows. He told us not to ask too much, just follow him, the man explained nervously. Yan Fang became a little impatient seeing that this red-clothed man knew nothing no matter what she asked. I'll ask you one last question, how much do you know about the spirit summoning art? Yan Fang asked. These questions were all asked at Dongfang Chen's suggestion. This was her first time encountering the red-clothed church, and she couldn't think of so many questions. I've only heard of the spirit summoning art, but I've never seen it. I only know that the Holy Envoy can use the spirit summoning art to control zombies, the man replied. So, the zombies outside were attracted by that damn Holy Envoy controlling the Tier 3 zombie? Yan Fang asked herself. The Tier 3 zombies outside couldn't have come to attack the headquarters for no reason. It must be that Holy Envoy pulling strings behind the scenes. Yes. The man replied. Yan Fang nodded. Commander, you said just now that you could cure me, is that true? The red-clothed man asked tentatively. You're really thinking too much. You killed so many people, and you still want to live. Yan Fang was processing the information just now, and she was amused by these words. Commander, it really wasn't my fault. I was just following orders. By the way, Commander, I can defect to you. You must save me. The man knelt on the ground and begged. Drag him out and execute him. This kind of person can stir up trouble, it's really speechless. Yan Fang ordered. Yes. Spare me. Spare me, Commander. The man cried out, but no one paid any attention to him. Several members of the Zhanfeng commando team dragged the man away. As for that Holy Envoy, Dongfang Chen said that he would be here soon, and they would interrogate him when he arrived. Yan Fang had people carry Yan Zhengping to the bed in the inner room of the office to take good care of him and wait for Dongfang Chen to come and treat him. To avoid being noticed, Tong Li had quietly left. It was already past 4 in the morning. As if sensitive to time or light, the zombies stopped attacking and retreated towards Yundu City. The second line of defense had not been breached, and the soldiers breathed a sigh of relief. The military's directly subordinate Special Forces Regiment, protected by combat suits, chased after them, constantly killing the zombies in the rear. And the other divisions began to assemble and take stock. The final statistics showed that over 1,200 people were injured and over 1,500 people were killed, which can be described as heavy casualties. For the injured soldiers, the division commanders of each division could only helplessly quarantine them first. In the past, they would only engage in some small-scale local battles with zombies under duress, with a maximum of 10 or 8 injuries at a time. Because there were no effective treatment drugs, they could only watch these soldiers slowly zombify and then be killed. This had happened countless times. But this time was different, there were too many injured people. More than 1,000 people. Thinking that they could only watch these comrades zombify and then be killed, everyone's emotions fell to the bottom. They didn't die at the hands of zombies, but they were going to die from the virus. Most of them were only slightly injured. Why? Why couldn't they live? Looking at the comrades who were gradually moving away and heading towards the quarantine area, everyone's eyes turned red. Some soldiers with low tear ducts were already in tears. Everyone, attention! An officer shouted loudly. Everyone stood at attention. Salute! The officer shouted the order in a hoarse voice. Swish! The tens of thousands of soldiers on the scene looked at their comrades who were entering the quarantine area and stood at attention and saluted in unison. The more than 1,200 soldiers standing in the quarantine area turned their heads and saw this scene. They understood what this military salute meant, and they also understood what awaited them next. They turned around one after another, smiling through their tears. Then they stood at attention and returned the salute one after another. Comrades, continue to fight. Death is not scary, despair is. This was their wish, and it was also their heartfelt voice. Chapter 102. The night passed, and dawn arrived. The first ray of sunlight pierced the horizon, spreading across the land. The soldiers from the directly subordinate Special Forces Regiment who had been in pursuit returned to the military headquarters one after another. After a brief rest, they began to clean up the zombies outside the military area. They had combat suits and were not afraid of infection. This task could only be done by them. Of course, it wasn't for nothing. The crystal cores on the zombies were their spoils of war. Before long, Dongfang Chen arrived by plane. Yan Fangfang didn't delay and took Dongfang Chen directly to Yan Zhenping's office. Dongfang Chen gave Yan Zhenping a central control capsule and then injected him with a nutrient solution containing 2 million nanobots. Soon, Yan Zhenping woke up. Breaking down the hallucinogen consumed a lot of the body's energy, and he was still very weak. Dad, you're awake. Yan Fangfang's worried heart finally relaxed. Yan Zhenping turned his head to look around, noticing many high-ranking officers from the military region, as well as Yan Fangfang and Dongfang Chen. Have the zombies been eliminated? Yan Zhenping asked. They have been eliminated, Yan Fangfang replied. What about the people from the Red Robe cult? Yan Zhenping frowned and continued to ask. Except for that damned Saint Envoy who was captured, everyone else was killed, Yan Fangfang replied. Yan Zhenping nodded and closed his eyes in relief. All right, let him get some rest. He'll be fine tomorrow, Dongfang Chen said. Boss, thank you. Yan Fangfang shed tears uncontrollably. Others might not know, but she was clear in her heart. If it weren't for Dongfang Chen's secret assistance, the Southwest military region would probably have been captured by the Red Robe cult by now. So, she was not only grateful to Dongfang Chen for saving her father but also for saving the entire Southwest military region. All right. Don't give me that. I get a headache when I see women crying. Take me to see that Saint Envoy. Dongfang Chen said. Oh. Okay. Yan Fangfang was immediately amused, hurriedly wiped the tears from her face with her sleeve, and stepped out the door. Dongfang Chen shook his head behind her. What's wrong with them? Walking on the way to the detention area, Dongfang pointed to the soldiers coming and going, looking dejected, and asked. Logically speaking, they should be high-spirited after just winning a battle. Yan Fangfang stopped and looked around. Suddenly, she thought of something and said. During last night's defensive battle, many soldiers sacrificed themselves, and some were injured. Yan Fangfang's eyes also dimmed. So that's how it is. Dongfang Chen understood after a little thought. That's right. Boss. Do you have a way to save them? Yan Fangfang suddenly thought that perhaps Dongfang Chen could come up with a solution. Her eyes lit up, and she looked at him expectantly. I'll make a call. Dongfang Chen frowned, then took out his satellite phone and walked aside. Yan Feng didn't step forward and stood there quietly waiting. Xiaolin, let me ask you, is there a way to treat people who have already been infected with the virus? Commander, there is, Xiaolin replied. That's great. What's the method? Targeted drugs combined with antigen serum, Xiaolin replied. What are targeted drugs? Dongfang Chen asked. It is also an injection that can directionally repair infected cells after injection. However, the repaired cells may still face secondary infection. Therefore, infected individuals must inject antigen serum as soon as possible during the effective period of the targeted drug. What is the effective time? Dongfang Chen continued to ask. Within 1 hour after the injection of the targeted drug, the drug's effect is not fully exerted, and after 24 hours, the drug is completely broken down, and the effect disappears. Therefore, the effective time of the targeted drug is between 1 hour and 24 hours after injection. The best injection time for antigen serum is within 2 to 18 hours after the targeted drug is administered. Another thing to note is that infected individuals who have been treated with targeted drugs, although they have produced antibodies in their bodies and are immune to the virus, cannot cause cell mutations and cannot become mutants. Dongfang Chen wanted to save people now, and whether they could become mutants was not important. Wait, what you just meant was that there is still a way to treat zombies after they have zombified. Dongfang Chen heard a key point. Yes, but it is very difficult, and current conditions cannot achieve it, Xiaolin replied. Tell me first, what method can be used to treat them? Dongfang Chen asked anxiously. Cell regeneration combined with gene repair, Xiaolin replied. Gene repair? But haven't zombies already completely zombified? Where can we find uninfected genes? Dongfang Chen asked. That's right. There is. As soon as he asked, Dongfang Chen also understood, hair. There is. The genes in human hair are not contaminated by the virus, Xiaolin replied. So that's how it is. Dongfang Chen only roughly understood the principle. But in reality, the cost, difficulty, and requirements for the environment and technology to operate it are extremely high. Chapter 103. Okay. I need a large number of targeted drugs and antigens now. If we temporarily stop non-essential work at the base and focus on producing these 2 drugs, how long will it take to produce them? Dongfang Chen asked. If there are enough crystal cores, we can produce about 1,000 units per day, Xiaolin replied. Good, I understand. Order the Queen Bee to start production first, and I will bring back another batch of crystal cores later, Dongfang Chen ordered. Yes, Commander. Dongfang Chen hung up the phone and walked back. How is it? Yan Feng asked anxiously. It can be treated. Dongfang Chen said. Really? That's great. Yan Feng was overjoyed. Don't be happy too soon. Let me ask you, how many people need treatment? Dongfang Chen asked. If there were too many people, some who were turning into zombies faster might not be able to wait for the medicine to be produced before they completely zombified. According to the data collected at dawn, there are a total of 1,232 people, Yan Feng said. More than 1,000 people, that's okay, it should be in time. Dongfang Chen roughly calculated that more than 1,000 units of medicine and antigen each, adding up to nearly 3,000 units. It would take nearly 3 days to produce them all. Really? That's great. Yan Feng couldn't care less about her image and was about to give him a big hug. Stop. Dongfang Chen quickly stopped her, not wanting to be taken advantage of for nothing. Yan Feng reacted, embarrassed, and quickly apologized. Let's go, take me to see that holy envoy first, Dongfang Chen said. Okay. Yan Feng quickly stepped forward to lead the way. The holy envoy, missing his limbs, was already unconscious and thrown on the floor. Wake him up. Yan Feng ordered. Yes. A soldier on duty hurriedly took a bucket of cold water and splashed it directly on him. Ah! Let me go! Let me go! You ignorant people, do you know the consequences of offending the Crimson Church? The holy envoy, awakened by the water, shouted and began to curse. Drag him up and let him sit against the wall, Dongfang Chen said. The soldier glanced at Yan Feng, asking for her opinion. Carry out the order. Yan Feng ordered. Yes. 2 soldiers stepped forward, one on the left and one on the right, and helped him sit up against the wall. Having changed to a comfortable posture, the holy envoy took a deep breath. Ha 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 ha, how is it? Are you afraid? If you know what's good for you, quickly release me. Otherwise, disaster will befall you. The holy envoy continued to threaten. Dongfang Chen ignored him and walked to the stool to sit down. What's your name? Dongfang Chen asked casually. Name? I don't have a name. Everyone calls me Holy Envoy, you can call me that too, the Holy Envoy said mockingly. Stubborn. Are you still hoping someone will come to save you? Dongfang Chen said. Ha 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 ha, guess. The Holy Envoy glared at him and said. I think your subordinates are more enlightened than you. They took the initiative to confess everything they knew without suffering at all, Dongfang Chen said. Humph. Cowardly things who are afraid of death. The Holy Envoy cursed. So they lived, but you won't. Dongfang Chen pointed out. Ha 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 ha, trying to trick me? Let me tell you, it's useless. The Holy Envoy didn't fall for it. Whether you believe it or not, I don't care at all. But I believe that after he goes back, he will soon be able to take your place, Dongfang Chen continued to say as if stating a fact. Him? You're thinking too much. Just an enforcer, still dreaming of taking the position of Holy Envoy? Ridiculous. The Holy Envoy said disdainfully. Could it be that the Holy Envoy is not chosen from the people below? He thought. Dongfang Chen could tell from the Holy Envoy's eyes that perhaps the position of Holy Envoy was really not selected from the people below. That's not necessarily true. What if he can bring back the medicine to treat you? Dongfang Chen continued to say calmly, but the real purpose was to probe. Humph. That's still impossible. The Holy Envoy was still disdainful. It seemed that the Holy Envoy was really not selected. I'm very curious, what kind of bewitching soup did the Crimson Church pour into you that makes you so loyal? Dongfang Chen changed his line of questioning. Humph. You can't explain ice to a summer insect. The Holy Envoy despised. Alas. I originally wanted to give you a chance, but it's a pity that you don't appreciate it at all. In that case, then I can only say sorry. Dongfang Chen sighed and stood up, then took out a syringe from his pocket. What is that? The Holy Envoy was a little nervous. Don't be nervous, this is a good thing. With just one injection, it can make you feel like you're floating in paradise, as if you're in a fairyland, Dongfang Chen said, holding the syringe in his left hand, describing the refreshing scene with fascination. The unknown is the most terrifying. Although Dongfang Chen was smiling, this complacent expression was extremely terrifying in the eyes of the Holy Envoy. He felt that the person standing opposite him was a cold-blooded butcher, and he was the lamb to be slaughtered. No, no. The Holy Envoy shook his head vigorously and shouted. That's not good. I really appreciate your loyalty and integrity, you can't let me down. Dongfang Chen smiled shamelessly. No. No. I'll talk. I'll talk. The Holy Envoy still shook his head, changing his words in a panic. Tisk tisk tisk. It seems that you are just cheap, you don't appreciate kind words, you have to suffer before you cooperate. Tell me, are you cheap? Dongfang Chen despised. This was attacking his inner defense line. You. The Holy Envoy was a little angry. Dongfang Chen glared. Ah. Yes, yes, yes. I'm cheap, I'm just cheap. The Holy Envoy nodded hurriedly in agreement. Dongfang Chen and Yanfang Fang exchanged a glance, revealing an expression of that's all there is to it. So that's it. Alas. I'm just too soft-hearted, I can't bear to see other people looking pitiful. Then I'll give you one more chance to speak, but you only have this one chance. If you don't cooperate well, then I can only use my own methods, Dongfang Chen pretended to be soft-hearted. But anyone could tell that this appearance was deliberately acted out. I'll cooperate. I'll cooperate. The Holy Envoy stared with wide eyes, nodding frequently, with a look of tail wagging pleading. Chapter 104. Let's talk about the spirit summoning art first, Dongfang Chen said after a moment of thought. According to the Holy Sun, the spirit summoning art is a very ancient secret art, originating from a mysterious scripture within the Church, the Myriad Law Scripture. Legend has it that the spirit summoning art can revive the dead, but no one has ever been known to succeed. When the virus first broke out, a Holy Envoy accidentally discovered that the spirit summoning art could be used on zombies and establish a mental connection with them after it was cast. This discovery quickly gained the attention of the higher-ups, and soon the spirit summoning art was listed as one of the church's top secrets. Unbaptized believers are not allowed to practice it. What is the Holy Sun's position in the red-clad sect? Dongfang Chen asked. The Holy Sun is the highest administrator, the Holy Envoy replied. That's not right. Dongfang Chen didn't believe it. I only vaguely suspect that there may be higher-level administrators above the Holy Sun. However, I have never seen or heard of them, and I don't even know what their position is, the Holy Envoy replied. All right, let's go back to the previous question. What is this myriad law scripture you mentioned earlier? Dongfang Chen asked. I heard it from the Holy Sun. There are 5 scriptures passed down within the church, and the myriad law scripture is the most mysterious. However, I have never seen it. What are the other 4? Dongfang Chen frowned and asked. I really don't know. The Holy Sun has never mentioned them. Tell me about the process of casting the spirit summoning art, the more detailed the better, Dongfang Chen said. Only baptized members of the church can cast the spirit summoning art, others cannot, the Holy Envoy said. You're thinking too much. Did I say I wanted to cast it? I have no interest in your heretical practices. Dongfang Chen said with disdain. Yes, yes, yes. To cast the spirit summoning art, one must first be baptized by the church. In fact, besides a series of sacrificial rituals, the most crucial part of the baptism is drinking the holy water. I don't know the exact composition of the holy water, but after drinking it, one will not be actively attacked by zombies. Secondly, the target of the spirit summoning art must be at least a tier 2 zombie. This is because, during the summoning, the zombie needs to consume a large amount of life energy, which needs to be provided by other zombies. If it's a tier 1 zombie, it won't be able to gather more zombies and obtain enough life energy. What is life energy? How can zombies have life force? Dongfang Chen asked. I don't quite understand that. I only know that zombies that have their life energy absorbed will die, a true death, the Holy Envoy shook his head. Previously, the mercenary team had discovered many dead zombies in the abandoned factory, and they no longer had crystal cores. Combining this with the Holy Envoy's description today, he deduced that life energy might refer to crystal cores. Okay, continue, Dongfang Chen said. Next is setting up the altar. The altar must be at least 3 meters high and no more than 5 meters high. The area of the platform on top must be large enough for at least 2 people to stand on, because when the spirit summoning art begins, the caster and the tier 2 zombie being summoned must stand on the platform at the same time. Why would a tier 2 zombie listen to you and stand on such a high platform? Dongfang Chen didn't understand. It needs. The Holy Envoy was a little nervous and didn't dare to speak. Needs what? Dongfang Chen asked. It needs living people as bait, the Holy Envoy said in a low voice. You're worse than animals. Dongfang Chen said through gritted teeth. Yan Fangfang, who was beside him, was also very angry when she heard this. You're truly insane and deserve to die. Yan Fangfang said fiercely. Continue, Dongfang Chen said. Immediately, the Holy Envoy described the process of casting the spirit summoning art in detail. After listening to his description, Dongfang Chen understood that the so-called spirit summoning art was not mysterious at all. The key is that the tier 2 zombie advances to tier 3 after absorbing a large amount of energy from tier 1 zombies. Because tier 3 zombies begin to develop basic intelligence, their biological instinct makes them believe that the first person they see created them, thus recognizing that person as their master. It's essentially imprinting behavior. It's the same principle as a newly hatched duckling regarding the first animal it sees as its mother. As for being able to revive the dead? Don't be ridiculous. Just chanting a few spells that no one knows the meaning of can revive the dead? That's completely unscientific. Having understood the key points, Dongfang Chen lost interest in the so-called spirit summoning art. Why did you attack the southwest military region? Dongfang Chen changed the subject. The enforcer didn't answer this question last night, only knowing that it was a pre-planned scheme. The initial plan was to capture the high-ranking officials of the military region and thus control the entire southwest military region. But before we could execute the plan, we discovered a group of soldiers in strange equipment in the army. They could actually move unharmed among the zombies, which forced us to abandon our original plan. Dongfang Chen and Yan Fangfang exchanged glances, understanding what he was talking about. So you decided to cultivate Tier 3 zombies first and then use them to fight against the army. Yes, the Holy Envoy admitted. Chapter 105. Have you ever considered that, by doing this, the entire Red Robe sect will face the full force of the Chinese army's blockade and suppression? Dongfang Chen asked. I was also worried about going against the army before, the risk is too great. But the Holy Sun said it wouldn't happen. What's the reason? Dongfang Chen didn't understand. I'm not very clear either, the Holy Envoy replied. In fact, this is related to the 2055 ARC project passed by the Council. In order to build the Mozang ARC base, 90% of the central military region's forces have already been transferred to the uninhabited area of the Mozang Gobi in western Xinjiang. At the same time, the Southwest Military Region, Northwest Military Region, and Northeast Military Region have each transferred 2 divisions, totaling 60,000 people. As a result, the forces responsible for maintaining security and peacekeeping in each military region are very insufficient. In addition, the casualties of soldiers are very high, and the handling of injuries is too inhumane, so each military region basically adopts a strategy of preserving strength as much as possible, avoiding war if possible. And the commanders of each military region are members of the Council. After the 2055 Human Survival White Paper was issued, they knew that the resettlement sites had been abandoned in name, and they could only seek their own survival, so they were even more reluctant to let soldiers take risks. Then even if you control the entire Southwest Military Region, what can you do? What's the plan after that? Dongfang Chen asked. I think it's very likely that they want to use this as the Red Robe sect's headquarters, the Holy Envoy replied. You're guessing? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes. The Holy Sun hasn't explicitly said it, but I can hear it in his words, that he has intentions in this regard, the Holy Envoy replied. How many Holy Sons are there in your sect? Dongfang Chen suspected that such a large plan could not be handled by just a few people. I don't know about that. I haven't seen other Holy Sons, and I've never heard the Holy Sun mention them, the Holy Envoy replied. You said at the beginning that enforcers can't be promoted to Holy Envoys, what did you mean? How did you get the position of Holy Envoy? Seeing that he couldn't get anything out of him, Dongfang Chen changed the subject. To become a Holy Envoy, you must undergo the baptism ceremony within the sect. But enforcers and divine envoys cannot accept baptism, the Holy Envoy explained. Why? Dongfang Chen asked. Because they have actually been infected. Accepting baptism requires drinking holy water. The Holy Sun said that if they drink the holy water, the virus will be out of control and they will eventually become zombies, the Holy Envoy explained. So, only healthy people can drink the holy water you mentioned? Dongfang Chen asked. That's right. Besides allowing you to avoid being attacked by zombies, what other effects does the holy water have? Dongfang Chen asked after a moment of thought. As far as I know, it doesn't seem to have any other effects. Dongfang Chen was a little curious about this holy water and wanted to get his hands on it if he had the chance. Can it make you immune to the virus, or become a mutant? Dongfang Chen asked. That's not possible, the Holy Envoy said very definitely. Then what's the method you mentioned before that can prevent you from being infected by the virus? Yan Fang interjected. When he first broke into the headquarters, he said something like that, but Dongfang Chen didn't hear it. It's the medicine we take. After taking it, you won't be infected by the virus, and you'll have certain abilities, the Holy Envoy replied. Do you have any on you? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes. The Holy Envoy replied. Dongfang Chen found a medicine bottle from his pocket, opened it and looked at it. There was still a lot left. He planned to go back and analyze it to see what the ingredients were. Where did you get this medicine? Dongfang Chen put away the medicine bottle and continued to ask. The Holy Sun bestowed it. Then how did your Holy Sun obtain it? I don't know about that. One last question, why were you able to find the specific location of the headquarters directly? Dongfang Chen asked. Because there was an inside informant, the Holy Envoy replied. Impossible. Yan Fang interrupted directly. It's impossible for people from the military to collude with you. Yan Fang didn't believe this at all. The army is different from other places. Which of the people who join the army hasn't been carefully vetted? Besides, after the virus outbreak, the entire military was sealed off, and soldiers were not allowed to go home to visit relatives. In this situation, it's impossible for the Red Robe sex forces to infiltrate the military region. It's indeed not someone from the army, the holy envoy admitted. Then who is it? Yan Fang asked curiously. Do you know that you captured a group of bandits more than 2 months ago? The holy envoy asked. Could it be them? Yan Fang certainly knew, because she personally led the people to arrest them. No. The holy envoy shook his head. Are you playing with me? Yan Fang was angry. It's the person who reported the news, the holy envoy gave the answer. That woman with the child. Yan Fang was surprised. Yes, the holy envoy nodded. You guys, go and control that woman in the military camp, don't let her run away. Yan Fang reacted and quickly ordered. Yes. The soldiers guarding the door obeyed and left. What's going on? Dongfang Chen asked. Chapter 106. It was like this. Around mid-December, a woman came to the military region with a child, shouting at the gate. I was leading Rongpo's Zhanfeng assault team, ready to leave for a zombie hunt, and we met her at the gate. From that woman, we learned that a group of bandits were ambushing the village where she lived. She knelt on the ground, begging us to save them, and I agreed without much thought. So, we drove with the Zhanfeng assault team at full speed to the scene. Sure enough, there was a group of thugs ransacking things, but unfortunately, everyone in the village had already been killed. We detained all the bandits, along with this homeless woman, and brought them back to the military camp. Yan Fang explained the events of that day in detail. So that's how it was. Dongfang Chen understood. It was a death trap. Such vicious intentions. Yan Fang was furious. They actually used her sympathy to set up such a big scheme, and her momentary kindness had brought such a disaster to the military and sacrificed so many soldiers. Yan Fang wanted to cry but had no tears, filled with regret. I told you before, put away your naive sympathy, or it will kill many people. Now you understand, right? Dongfang Chen sighed, patted her shoulder, and said. Yan Fang closed her eyes, speechless for a long time. Do you have anything else to confess? Dongfang Chen turned to look at the holy envoy. I want to know, do you really have a way to solve our physical problems? The holy envoy asked. Not sure, but we can try, Dongfang Chen replied. The holy envoy nodded, took a deep breath, and closed his eyes. He could be free, as long as he didn't have to suffer anymore, he would be satisfied. I'll leave it to you, Dongfang Chen patted Yan Fang's shoulder and turned to leave the detention room. Yan Fang opened her eyes, as if she had made a decision. She strode forward, walked up to the holy envoy, and snapped his neck. After coming out of the detention room, Dongfang Chen, accompanied by Yan Fang, went to the quarantine area again. The soldiers had already treated their wounds with the help of medical staff. Some were quietly lying on the bed reading, others were chatting and laughing in groups of 3 or 5, and some with minor injuries were even playing ball outside. Walking through the quarantine area, there was no sign of gloom. Seeing Yan Fang coming, everyone stood up and saluted. Yan Fang returned the salute one by one. Call everyone to assemble, Yan Fang instructed a soldier beside her. Yes. The soldier obeyed and left. With a series of whistles, the soldiers quickly ran towards Yan Fang. Then they lined up. Attention! At ease. After everyone lined up, Yan Fang said. Comrades, you are all great. On you, I see the hope of defeating the virus. I called everyone here not to say flattering words, but to tell you good news. Yan Fang shouted loudly, tears of joy welling up in her eyes. The soldiers looked at each other, wondering what the good news was. We have found a way to treat the virus, everyone is saved. Yan Fang shouted. The soldiers' eyes lit up when they heard the news. Instructor Yan, is it true? A soldier shouted loudly. They were afraid of disappointment. If it was just to make everyone happy, it would be better to wait quietly for death. Of course it's true. This Mr. Dongfang Chen next to me is the person who provided us with combat suits before. And this time, he brought medicine to treat the virus, Yan Fang introduced. Clap clap clap. The soldiers applauded warmly, welcoming Dongfang Chen's arrival. Yan Fang pressed her hand down, signaling everyone to stop. Then, let Mr. Dongfang Chen say a few words to everyone, Yan Fang said. Yan Fang stepped aside, giving the main position to Dongfang Chen. Dongfang Chen was not stage frightened and walked to the center. Hello everyone. I came to see you today to reassure you. Facing this crisis, the fearless spirit of sacrifice you have shown deeply impresses me. As Instructor Yan said, on you, I see the hope of defeating the virus. I solemnly promise here that within 3 days at most, everyone will be treated one after another and regain their health. And after the treatment, you will not be infected with the virus again. Dongfang Chen paused and continued. However, before that, I want to make a small request. No one spoke, continuing to listen quietly. Because the production of the medicine takes time, we can only treat about 1/3 of the patients each day. So I hope everyone can understand and let those with severe infections be treated first, and those with rapid onset be given priority. The first batch of medicine will arrive here at the latest tonight. I hope our medical staff can conduct a thorough investigation as soon as possible and compile a list and order. After visiting the wounded soldiers, the two came to the square in front of the military district gate. At this time, in the square, the soldiers of the directly subordinate Special Forces Regiment were gathering the spoils of war, crystal cores. Chapter 107. Looking around, the crystal nuclei piled up like a small mountain, emitting a radiant glow. How is the cleanup going? Yan Feng asked a soldier next to her who was moving crystal nuclei. Reporting, Instructor Yan, it will still take some time, the soldier replied, standing at attention. Okay. After the crystal nuclei are collected, gather the corpses together, pour gasoline on them, and burn them all. No burying allowed, Yan Feng ordered. But the soldier hesitated. Gasoline was a precious commodity now. Execute the order. Yan Feng didn't explain. Yes. The biggest cause of the ecological crisis was the viruses carried by the corpses of the dead zombies, which contaminated the microorganisms. Although doing this wouldn't change the ultimate outcome of microbial mutation, doing a little was better than nothing. From the soldier's report, the number of crystal nuclei obtained this time was roughly 180,000. This was a considerable number, but for Dongfang Chen, it wasn't enough. If all the wounded soldiers were to be treated, both targeted drugs and antigens would each require more than 1,200 doses. At a price of 200 crystal nuclei per dose, the total cost would be nearly 500,000 crystal nuclei. Sister Yan, the quantity isn't enough. Dongfang Chen said. Hey! Yan Feng didn't understand Dongfang Chen's meaning. I roughly calculated that the medicine requires a total of more than 2,400 doses, costing nearly 500,000 crystal nuclei in total. Currently, you only have less than 200,000, which is quite a bit short, Dongfang Chen explained. You still want to charge money? Yan Feng glared at him. Wow! What are you doing? Planning to rob me? Let me tell you, one thing is one thing. I can save people, but I can't pay for it out of my own pocket. Dongfang Chen glared back. Why are you so greedy? Yan Feng was frustrated. You can't say it like that. This doesn't even include the cost of treating your dad. That injection isn't cheap, it'll cost at least 10,000 crystal nuclei. Besides, if I don't have crystal nuclei, the base can't operate. When you need help again, I won't have the ability. Dongfang Chen said with a slight threat. Then what should we do? You promised to cure everyone within 3 days. You can't go back on your word. Yan Feng said. Of course not. I didn't say I wouldn't treat people. I can give you the medicine on credit first, but you have to make up the crystal nuclei later. Dongfang Chen looked like a landlord demanding rent. You, all right. Yan Feng was speechless and could only agree. That's right. I'll treat your dad's injection as a good deed and give it to you for free. But after these crystal nuclei are counted, move them onto my plane as soon as possible. The base is waiting for these crystal nuclei to produce medicine, Dongfang Chen added. Okay. Yan Feng was too lazy to look at him and shouted loudly. Report. While the two were talking, a soldier ran over to report. Speak, Yan Feng responded. Instructor Yan, that woman is dead. The soldier replied. Dead? How did she die? Yan Feng was surprised. Originally, she wanted to ask that woman why she did this. Why did she help those cultists to frame the soldiers who were protecting them? But she didn't expect that the woman would die first. She probably took poison, the soldier replied. What about the child? Yan Fangfang continued to ask. Also dead. Yan Fangfang was stunned. What a ruthless person. Ruthless to others, and even more ruthless to herself and her child. How long has she been dead? Yan Fangfang asked. The body is cold, probably died in the middle of the night, the soldier replied. It seemed that she knew the news had leaked, and the consequences of her not dying would be even more serious. Okay, I understand. You arrange for a few people to find a place to bury them, Yan Fangfang ordered. Yes. The soldier took the order and left. After everything was done and the crystal nuclei were loaded onto the plane, Dongfang Chen hurriedly returned to the base. Yan Zhengping didn't wake up until evening. After a day of rest, his physical strength had basically recovered. Afterwards, Yan Fangfang recounted to Yan Zhengping what had happened after he fell unconscious last night and the results of the interrogation during the day. After learning the cause and effect of the matter, Yan Zhengping was extremely angry. When he heard that Dongfang Chen could actually produce medicine to treat the infected, he was overjoyed. However, when he heard that Dongfang Chen wanted to charge crystal nuclei, he smiled wryly and shook his head, but he didn't mind. He didn't approve of killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. If people were scared or used to death once, it would be detrimental to both parties later. These crystal nuclei must be given, not only must they be given, but they must be gathered as soon as possible. You should also inform the Zhanfeng Commando and the directly subordinate Special Forces Regiment to speed up the collection of crystal nuclei. I believe that as long as we continue to provide him with crystal nuclei, he will definitely bring us more surprises, Yan Zhengping instructed. Yes. Yan Fangfang accepted the order. Oh, right. Fangfang, also, give Zhong Zhenyu of the Southeast Military Region a slightly larger quantity. This way, we can acquire crystal nuclei faster. In the next few days, I will also take the Zhanfeng Commando to the Northeast Military Region and the Northwest Military Region. I think we will gain a lot. Yan Zhengping was preparing to help Dongfang Chen advertise. You should know that the combat suits sold to Zhong Zhenyu were priced at 160 crystal nuclei each, with a huge profit margin. How could he not take advantage of such a good resource? Relying solely on his own soldiers to go out and hunt zombies would only earn him a small fee. Mobilizing everyone to hunt zombies together was a win-win situation. This was a beneficial thing for everyone, so why not do it? Chapter 108. After Yan Fangfang left, Yan Zhengping called the speaker again and reported the events in the Southwest Military Region. He emphasized several points. 1. The existence of the Red Robe Sect. 2. The existence of high-level zombies. 3. The Red Robe Sect can control high-level zombies. 4. The importance of mutants in future wars. However, Yan Zhengping chose not to disclose the existence of Dongfang Chen, the combat suit, and Dongfang Chen's ability to treat infected individuals. Because he was uncertain about everyone's attitude after learning about Dongfang Chen's existence. However, it would likely lead to attempts to win him over, compete for him, or even do something foolish like killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Dongfang Chen was not someone who responded well to pressure, so the final outcome would definitely not be good. The current situation was much better. And this situation was deliberately created by Dongfang Chen. From the moment he personally destroyed the base wall, he understood that a man is innocent, but he is guilty of possessing treasure. To unite forces from different regions and with different standpoints to jointly respond to the ecological crisis, he could not stand in opposition to everyone. With Xiaolin's refinement and assistance, the Firefly project involved everyone, yet no one felt they had stepped into the plan. After the report, the speaker decided to organize a temporary meeting of parliamentarians. Therefore, the task of treating the wounded was entrusted to Yan Fangfang, who was fully responsible. Yan Zhengping took a plane and rushed to Kyoto overnight. After Dongfang Chen returned to the base with 180,000 crystal nuclei, he began a series of adjustments to the base. Producing the antidote actually used less than 10,000 crystal nuclei, approximately 2 crystal nuclei's energy could produce 1 dose of the antidote. In addition, with the crystal nuclei that the Southwest Military Region had continuously sent over to purchase combat suits, his current crystal nucleus inventory had reached 400,000, and it was time to carry out the next step of the plan. Xiaolin, has the second-generation Queen Bee finished production? Commander, the second-generation Queen Bee will be assembled in 3 hours. Okay, after the Queen Bee is assembled, transfer all the bee ant robots on the production line to fully produce antidote. Yes, Commander. Dongfang Chen stood in front of the glass wall of the production warehouse, looking at the enormous second-generation queen bee, his heart surging. This was the real queen bee. Compared to the first-generation spider-sized queen bee, it could do so much more. First of all, the control range was different. The number of bee ant robots that the first-generation queen bee could control was limited, and it was not enough to meet the various production needs within the base, so it could not be expected to do more. However, after the second-generation queen bee was put into use, it was different. It could cover the entire Binjiang urban area with its tentacles. In this way, the zombies in Binjiang City will be completely cleared. At the same time, with the protection of bee ant robots, the entire Binjiang City will become a restricted area for all enemies, including zombies. Although it is still impossible to protect the airspace, it is enough for now. At the same time, the base's production warehouse can be expanded on a large scale. His initial plan was to use the scope of Binjiang City as the boundary to spread the base horizontally underground. At a little after 1 o'clock in the morning, Dongfang Chen ordered Xiaolin to transport 400 doses of targeted medicine and antigen produced that day to the southwest military region by plane. At the same time, after receiving the news, Yan Fangfang had ordered people to wait at the airport in advance. Dongfang Chen's plane did not need a driver, so he did not need to follow. Medical staff had screened out the most severely ill soldiers and numbered them according to the severity of their condition. Dongfang Chen had told Yan Fangfang the method of injecting the antidote, and he believed that she could do this well. At 5:20 in the morning, the antidote arrived in the isolation area under the soldiers. The 400 infected soldiers who were called by number were already sitting on the playground waiting, and everyone lined up according to the previously assigned numbers. 100 soldiers were also acting as security guards in the distance to prevent anyone from suddenly zombifying and hurting others. A row of long tables was placed in a corner of the playground, and 20 medical personnel in protective suits were all in place, receiving the antidote and receiving training. The first step was to inject the targeted medicine. On average, each of the 20 medical personnel was responsible for 20 soldiers, so it would take a maximum of 1 hour to complete the first injection. The effective time of the targeted medicine was 1 hour, and the ideal injection time for the antigen was 2 hours later. So after everyone finished the first injection, they returned to the queue and continued to wait. For those who were inconvenient to move, 2 additional soldiers were arranged to be responsible for carrying stretchers. By a little after 8 o'clock in the morning, all 400 soldiers had been injected. Everyone was arranged to be isolated in a new place, and the next step of observation and antigen testing would be carried out in the next 2 or 3 days. Only after confirming that antibodies had been produced could they return to the original combat sequence. Everything went smoothly, and the medical staff and the wounded who had not been injected, who witnessed all this, were completely relieved. None of the most seriously ill people had become zombies, and it was unlikely that the remaining people would. However, just in case, the medical staff were still closely monitoring the remaining 800 or so wounded. Chapter 109. Meanwhile, after 5 hours of emergency deliberation, the council issued a nationwide announcement that sent shockwaves across the country. The announcement highlighted several key points. First, the Red Robe cult was defined as an anti-human cult organization that threatened national security and harmed the interests of the people. Second, the gun ban was completely lifted, effective immediately. Third, citizens were encouraged to spontaneously form defense forces to strengthen their self-protection capabilities. This meant that the construction of defensive fortifications and the formation of armed teams by the people would be completely legalized. Fourth, private organizations with the resources were allowed to research, produce, sell, or lease lethal thermal weapons, including heavy combat equipment. This was a complete lifting of restrictions on private forces. At the same time, the Red Robe cult became thoroughly known to everyone. The content of the meeting was communicated via satellite phone to all reachable settlements, requiring them to post the announcement publicly and vigorously promote it. As soon as the announcement was issued, the whole country was in an uproar. Some cheered, some predicted doom, and opinions varied. Due to limitations in raw materials, processing technology, and processing equipment, the vast majority of settlements across the country lacked the ability to mass-produce weapons. At most, they could only process some crude guns and cannons with limited lethality using rudimentary methods. There was also the problem that even if some settlements benefited from their own advantages and possessed such conditions, the weapons and equipment produced could not be sold and could only be used for their own purposes. For example, some settlements were located in large factory areas such as ordnance factories and steel mills. They could gather the materials needed to produce guns through resource exchanges, but this was limited to the settlements involved in the manufacturing process. As for other settlements that had neither geographical advantages nor resources, they had no choice but to complain and predict doom. After all, in this day and age, money could no longer be used as currency. Some resourceful settlements came up with a roundabout way to save themselves, developing agriculture or light industry to exchange food or daily necessities for guns and ammunition. However, the quantity they could exchange for was small and the cycle was long. But it was better than nothing. At this time, the Plum Forest settlement was a different scene. Mayor Gong rushed to the Huitong Chamber of Commerce as soon as he heard the news. "Boss Niu, I have good news for you." Mayor Gong shouted as he entered the door. "Mayor Gong, what's making you so happy?" Niu Xingwang asked. "Good news. Great news." Mayor Gong was extremely excited. After the two sat down in the office, Mayor Gong told him about the lifting of the gun ban he had just received. Niu Xingguang's eyes also lit up. "Isn't this just perfect?" Mayor Gong said. "Look, our settlement has guns, currency and a mercenary guild. We're about to take off. Boss Niu, I wonder if you are interested in expanding your business." Before Niu Xingwang could say a word, Mayor Gong rattled off a lot of things. "Mayor Gong, have you mentioned the antigen matter to anyone else?" Niu Xingwang asked. Mayor Gong was stunned. What did he mean by that? Why did the topic change so drastically? After a moment of reaction, he sighed and said, "Hey! Don't mention it. After thinking it over, I haven't mentioned the antigen matter to anyone." Mayor Gong thought that he was complaining about himself, why he hadn't used this resource for so long. Niu Xingwang was now his and the entire settlement's cash cow, so he certainly couldn't offend him, and could only endure any complaints. "Oh? Does Mayor Gong have any concerns?" Niu Xingwang asked with a smile. "Boss Niu, our Plum Forest settlement is just an ordinary small settlement. If the antigen matter gets out, we don't have the strength to protect it. I hope you can understand. Let's wait until the conditions are more favorable," Mayor Gong said awkwardly. Niu Xingwang nodded and said nothing. "But in the matter of the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild, can we do something?" Mayor Gong asked tentatively. "Mayor Gong, I think it's better for us to just mess around in Plum Forest. The world is too chaotic now. Let's just take care of ourselves," Niu Xingwang replied. When Mayor Gong heard this, he realized that the tone was wrong. This was such a good opportunity, how could he miss it? So he quickly asked. "Does Boss Niu have any concerns?" "Mayor Gong, I think you've misunderstood. I don't have any concerns. It's just that I'm just an ordinary citizen and don't have such big ambitions," Niu Xingwang replied nonchalantly. Mayor Gong understood that he was preparing to drive a hard bargain. He thought about it for a while and realized that this made sense. You can't expect the horse to run fast and not eat grass. So he said. "Then how about arranging a position for you?" "Haha. Mayor Gong, you flatter me too much. How could I do that? I only know how to do business, I don't understand the things in officialdom," Niu Xingwang laughed and refused. Is he the position is too low, or is he really not interested? Mayor Gong pondered for a long time but couldn't figure it out. "How about this, I'll arrange for you to be the deputy commander of the settlement. Do you think that's okay?" Mayor Gong gritted his teeth and said. "Since Mayor Gong has said so much, I won't hide it from you. I plan to leave Plum Forest." Niu Xingwang sat up, leaned close to Mayor Gong, and said in a low voice. Chapter 110. What? Mayor Gong was shocked and stood up abruptly. "Boss Niu, you were doing so well in Milan, why do you want to leave?" Mayor Gong asked anxiously. "Mayor Gong, don't worry, sit down and listen to me slowly," Niu Xingwang comforted him. "How can I not be anxious? Speak, I'm listening." Mayor Gong didn't appreciate it and continued to stand. What does Mayor Gong think of the 2055 white paper on human survival issued by the Council? Niu Xingwang asked. Hearing Niu Xingguang's question, Mayor Gong regained his composure a little, sat back on the sofa, sighed, and said. "Alas! In my opinion, this is probably telling everyone to fend for themselves." "Oh? Why do you say that?" Niu Xingwang asked. "Isn't it obvious? Why give you a technical plan? Isn't that suggesting you build your own base?" The implication is that whether you can build it depends entirely on yourself, Mayor Gong replied. Anything else? Niu Xingwang continued to ask. What else could there be? Mayor Gong glared and asked impatiently. Ha ha ha, Mayor Gong, don't be anxious. Let me ask you, why is the technical plan for building an underground base, and not one above ground? Niu Xingwang pointed upwards with his finger, asking meaningfully. Every time he thought of this, Niu Xingwang was filled with admiration. Long before the virus outbreak, Dongfang Chen had already chosen a location to build an underground base, and its current scale is already very large. Who could have imagined it? Who could have done it? If you wanted to spend some money to build an underground base now? No matter who you are, no matter how rich you are, or how high your position, don't even think about it. Moreover, this technical plan? Compared with Dongfang Chen's plan, there is no comparison at all. This? I haven't thought about it. Is there a difference? Mayor Gong looked blank. Of course there's a difference. And a big difference. Look at the air circulation system, life support system, crop planting technology, what are these? Niu Xingwang asked. He knew in advance that the ecological crisis was about to erupt, and by then the temperature, air, and even the sunlight would change, and humans would no longer be suitable for living on the surface. Otherwise, with his background in real estate, he probably wouldn't be able to figure it out so quickly, let alone show off here. What are they? Mayor Gong looked at him, not understanding what he was trying to express. Combined, they are a closed, artificial environment. Niu Xingwang hinted. Boss Niu, what are you trying to say? Mayor Gong was anxious. This white paper is hinting to everyone, the environment is about to change, and the outside world will no longer be suitable for human survival. Niu Xingwang said the key point. What? That's impossible. Mayor Gong's face was filled with disbelief upon hearing this. Then why doesn't the white paper tell you how to build an above-ground shelter, how to produce guns and ammunition? Wouldn't that be cheaper? You wouldn't even need to print this white paper. Niu Xingwang retorted. That's true. Mayor Gong pondered for a moment. But after all, this kind of thing is too far away, and Mayor Gong has no concept of whether to believe it or not. Seeing that Mayor Gong couldn't muster enough interest, Niu Xingwang knew that he hadn't elevated this matter to the level of needing extreme importance. Foresight brings success, lack of foresight brings failure. Mayor Gong, to be honest, I plan to build an underground base. Niu Xingwang dropped another bombshell. Oh, what? This was the third time Mayor Gong was surprised. You heard right, and I plan to start as soon as possible, Niu Xingwang said. This, where do you plan to build it? Mayor Gong didn't know what to say, he felt that his thinking couldn't keep up with Niu Xingwang's pace. I plan to return to Binjiang, Niu Xingwang replied. Return to Binjiang? But there are zombies there. Mayor Gong said. We have equipment now, I'm not worried, Niu Xingwang smiled. Building an underground base is extremely costly, and personnel, materials, supplies, and machinery are not easy to gather. Mayor Gong reminded him. That's right, but I can solve it, Niu Xingwang said calmly. He can actually solve it. This boss Niu is indeed in real estate, even a starved camel is still a camel. If he can solve it, wouldn't it be better to build an underground base in Milan? Mayor Gong was alarmed, frowning as he calculated. Can you not leave? Mayor Gong asked. I can. Unless Mayor Gong is willing to give me his position as mayor, Niu Xingwang said with a smile, half-jokingly. Now, although the various settlements are nominally still receiving instructions from the council, they are actually acting independently. Ah, haha, Boss Niu is so funny, Mayor Gong replied awkwardly. I'm not kidding. Mayor Gong, think about it, if you were in my shoes, would you help others build a base for free? Maybe after it's built, you won't even have a place to live yourself. Niu Xingwang's words had a double meaning. 1. He was alluding to his tragic situation last year. He built a settlement for Binjiang City, worked hard for several months, and even invested all of his savings. In the end, the settlement was built, but he was reduced to being homeless and starving. Chapter 111. Secondly, he was telling Mayor Gong that unless he was in charge, he would rather choose a new site than consider building an underground base here. Of course, Niu Xingwang had the strength to directly remove Mayor Gong from his position and take over as the director of the resettlement camp himself. But what would he gain from that? With Dongfang Chen's support, he lacked nothing except official position and influence. Why would he want to be labeled a rebel? He was giving Mayor Gong one last chance, a final opportunity to choose. Mayor Gong no longer possessed the vision and breadth of mind to continue leading the resettlement camp. If he was unwilling to relinquish the power in his hands, then Niu Xingwang would no longer waste time on him. Mayor Gong understood the implications. In the post-apocalyptic world, losing power meant losing the foundation for survival. But if he didn't give up this power, and Niu Xingwang left him, would Milan resettlement camp have a future? He was acutely aware of Niu Xingwang's value, and he understood the relationship between the future of Milan resettlement camp and Niu Xingwang. If you return to Binjiang, will the Huitong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild also withdraw? Mayor Gong asked, wanting to make a final attempt. Niu Xingwang had already discerned Mayor Gong's choice, he would not relinquish the power in his hands. Mayor Gong, rest assured, the Huitong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild will continue to stay here and fulfill their value. Moreover, I plan to open branches of the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild in every resettlement camp in the near future, Niu Xingwang said without concealing his intentions. What? Mayor Gong was once again shocked by Niu Xingwang. He truly never ceased to amaze. He had come today intending to discuss with Niu Xingwang the possibility of expanding the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild's business, selling equipment and weapons to other resettlement camps, and promoting the resettlement camp's currency as well. But he never expected Niu Xingwang to think even bigger and act even more decisively, directly establishing branches in every resettlement camp. What great courage, and what great strength! Only now did he realize that he and Niu Xingwang were not on the same path. He now only wanted to be a local tyrant in his small corner, while Niu Xingwang was thinking of dominating the world. What he didn't know was that Niu Xingwang was merely a figurehead pushed to the forefront by Dongfang Chen. And all of this was just a small part of Project Firefly. However, Mayor Gong, since I've decided to choose a new site to build an underground base, there are a few points that need to be discussed with you, Niu Xingwang said. Mayor Gong looked at him without saying a word. Firstly, once the base is built, the headquarters of the Huitong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild will be located in my base, and Milan will only be adjusted to a branch office. In fact, Niu Xingwang didn't need to worry about the construction of the underground base at all, Dongfang Chen would naturally take care of everything. This was just a pretext. Secondly, I will launch a new electronic currency to serve as the common currency for the Chamber of Commerce in all resettlement camps. I hope Mayor Gong can understand that the risk is too great for me if I don't control the right to issue currency. Mayor Gong could neither understand nor agree, but there was nothing he could do. If the Huitong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild didn't recognize it, then the electronic currency in his hands would just be a string of useless numbers. Even without the computing power support provided by the Huitong Chamber of Commerce, the currency settlement business couldn't be carried out. The issuance of currency requires credit guarantees. This was not the peaceful era, and the resettlement camps were already struggling to survive, let alone having the ability and strength to provide such guarantees. It was like building a tall building, the foundation must be solid. What would happen if the building was built on sand? Wouldn't it collapse in an instant? There was also a key point, crystal nuclei were actually used as the standard currency. To be honest, only Niu Xingwang dared to use money to buy crystal nuclei in Milan. No one else dared to because collecting crystal nuclei was useless and didn't generate value. Even if he wanted to keep it in his hands, it was unrealistic. Thirdly, Mayor Gong doesn't need to worry. All business will proceed as usual, without the slightest change. In fact, I will even allocate more resources to Milan. Mayor Gong finally felt relieved upon hearing this. It was best if there were no changes. If there were no changes, his Milan resettlement camp would not be in chaos. With the resources injected by Niu Xingwang, the resettlement camp would continue to thrive. In that case, I, Gong, will not insist. After all, Boss Niu is from Binjiang. I hope we can cooperate more in the future, Mayor Gong said with polite words. Definitely. I hope Mayor Gong can open the door of convenience and we can help each other, Niu Xingwang said as he stood up. Definitely. The two shook hands with smiles. Having settled this matter, Niu Xingwang reported the results to Dongfang Chen. Dongfang Chen was not surprised by this result, and even felt that Mayor Gong had a certain awareness. If he chose to turn against them, it would be a real loss, and in the end, he would get nothing. Now that it was determined that the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild had to be built in Binjiang, Dongfang Chen had to plan carefully. The base was in the dark, while the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild were in the open. The two must be separated on the surface. Chapter 112. Xiaolin, I want to replan the Funing district of Binjiang City. I want to build a large, independent base there to serve as the headquarters for the Chamber of Commerce and the Labor Union. At the same time, the connection with our side should be as concealed as possible. I don't want anyone to discover the existence of another base. Understood, Commander. Well, get the plan done first, and start construction directly after the deployment of the second-generation Queen Bee, said Dongfang Chen. Understood, Commander. Oh, right, how's the analysis of the medicine you brought back going? Dongfang Chen asked. This medicine was the virus control drug for the infected, obtained from the Saint Envoy. The analysis is complete. It mainly contains some antibiotics and drugs to boost immunity, as well as a small amount of crystal nucleus powder, Xiaolin replied. What about the efficacy? Dongfang Chen asked. It can resist the spread of the virus, but the efficacy is not long-lasting and requires continuous medication. Moreover, the side effects are huge and will cause serious damage to organs. The trace biological energy provided by the crystal nucleus powder may prevent it from being life-threatening in the short term, Xiaolin replied. Okay, I understand. This was about what he had guessed. How is the state of the space station? Has the production task of the production module been completed? The worker bee robots have been produced. Then can we start the upgrade? Yes. Okay, then after all the medicine from the Southwest Military Region is delivered, start the upgrade. Understood, Commander. At the same time, Yan Zhengping returned to the military region after the meeting. It was already evening. The soldiers in the isolation zone have already treated 900 people, leaving only the last 300 or so mild infected. The heart that he had been holding in his throat was finally lowered. Call Rongpo in. Yan Zhengping ordered as soon as he returned to the office. The messenger acknowledged the order and left. Rongpo, I have an important task for you. Go pick 200 of the best Zhanfeng assault team members to come with me, Yan Zhengping ordered. Yes. Rongpo was overjoyed upon hearing this. This was his chance to shine, so he hurried back to prepare. Afterwards, Yan Zhengping had another phone call with Dongfang Chen. He wanted to personally thank him, and it would be even better if he could get some more information out of him. March 26, 2055 AD, morning. Yan Zhengping, with 200 Zhanfeng assault team members, arrived in Binjiang again in 5 transport helicopters. They arrived at a relatively empty safe house provided by Dongfang Chen in advance and landed the planes. A group of soldiers quickly jumped off the plane, lined up, and stood guard. Rongpo, you come in with me, the others wait outside and be careful, Yan Zhengping ordered. Yes. Walking into the courtyard, Dongfang Chen was already waiting at the door. The two shook hands warmly, and the group of 3 walked towards the base. Xiao Chen, you really know how to play. I must say, this is very well hidden, Yan Zhengping said after entering the base. Of course, my life is the most important thing, so I have to put some effort into it. Dongfang Chen replied with a smile. Xiao Chen, I'm here mainly to thank you. If it weren't for your assistance, I think the Southwest Military Region would most likely have been breached. Moreover, the 1,232 soldiers who were infected with the virus were also able to receive timely treatment thanks to the medicine you provided. Here, on behalf of the entire Southwest Military Region, I express my gratitude to you. With that, Yan Zhengping stood up and gave Dongfang Chen a standard military salute. Rongpo also followed behind Yan Zhengping, saluting at the same time. Okay, Commander Yan, why are you being so polite? Besides, I didn't provide assistance for free, didn't I also earn a lot of crystal nuclei from you? Dongfang Chen quickly stood up and motioned for Yan Zhengping to sit down. I have already told Fang Fang to provide more equipment to the Southeast Military Region, so that the 2 military regions can collect crystal nuclei at the same time, and the speed will be much faster, Yan Zhengping said. Haha, Commander Yan has played a good move, clearing himself of any involvement on the surface, while secretly making a fortune, Dongfang Chen teased. It was only because they were familiar that Dongfang Chen dared to openly criticize him like this. It seems you know everything, Yan Zhengping also smiled awkwardly. Yes. But it doesn't matter, the price is the price. How many crystal nuclei you can sell is Commander Yan's ability. Now that the production capacity of the equipment has increased a lot, Commander Yan can be bolder and release more resources, Dongfang Chen said. Well, I came here to talk to you about this. I'll go to the Northeast Military Region and the Northwest Military Region later to promote the combat suits. Do you have any concerns on your side? Yan Zhengping replied. As long as you don't tell people where they were made, I don't care about anything else, Dongfang Chen said. Okay, Yan Zhengping nodded. What do you think of the red coats? Yan Zhengping wanted to inquire about some information. From the information I have, I think the red coats are most likely just small minions on the surface, and there is a more powerful force behind them, Dongfang Chen said his guess. What makes you say that? Yan Zhengping asked. The red coats are very loosely managed, and almost all of the members are newly developed and lack loyalty. Logically speaking, this kind of sect cannot stand without a foundation. From the last interrogation, we can also draw the conclusion that even the saint envoys and even the saint sons may not know all the affairs within the sect. That means there must be a higher hidden level above the saint sons, Dongfang Chen analyzed. Chapter 113. Your analysis is very insightful. It seems there's a powerful opponent hidden in the shadows. This makes survival in the future even more challenging. Yan Zhengping sighed. Commander Yan, there's no need to be overly pessimistic. The cycle of heaven is like this. The more difficult things are, the greater the challenges that will be imposed. What we need to do is to do our best to fight for a chance of survival in this disaster, Dongfang Chen comforted. You're quite optimistic, Yan Zhengping said appreciatively. It's no use being pessimistic. If we want to live, this is the only way, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Oh, right, have you developed any new equipment recently? Let our Zhanfeng assault team be the first to try it out, Yan Zhengping asked. It will be available soon. The base is currently being upgraded. Once everything is ready, I guarantee that Commander Yan's troops will be the first to experience it, Dongfang Chen said with a smile. Good, it's a deal. After chatting for a while, Yan Zhengping got up and left, heading straight for the Northeast Military Region. Yuzhou Province, Kunfen City, Southeast Military Region Command. Mayor Zhou, how has your recovery been in the military region these past few days? Zhong Zhenyu asked. Counselor Zhong, I've recovered quite well, thank you very much, Zhou Wenchen replied. So, what are your plans next? I plan to go to the Milan resettlement area. The person in charge there is my old partner, Gong Kaming. He was originally the mayor of Binjiang City, and at the end of last year, he led the surviving citizens of Binjiang City north to Milan, Zhou Wenchen replied. That's fine too, at least it's somewhere to go. I'll arrange a plane to send you over there in a bit. The journey is not short, and it's not safe on the road. It would be difficult for the two of you to get there alone, Zhong Zhenyu said after considering it. That's really too kind of you, Counselor Zhong. Zhou Wenchen said happily. You're welcome. All I can do to help you is this much, Zhong Zhenyu sighed. Zhou Wenchen took a deep breath and nodded silently. Kunfen City is about 100 kilometers away from the Milan resettlement area in a straight line. Zhong Zhenyu sent a squad wearing full combat gear to escort Zhou Wenchen. It took less than an hour to arrive. Because they had called ahead, Mayor Gong was already waiting at the tarmac. They were using the tarmac that the Huitong Chamber of Commerce had built on the roof. Brother Zhou, welcome. Mayor Gong hurriedly stepped forward to shake hands after Zhou got off the plane. Brother Gong, I've come to seek refuge with you. Zhou Wenchen said jokingly. Hey! What do you mean, seek refuge? We've been partners for so many years, we don't distinguish between you and me, Mayor Gong said with a smile. Your development here is really good. You've even built a tarmac in the resettlement area, Zhou Wenchen praised. We didn't build this, it was the Huitong Chamber of Commerce, Mayor Gong said. Huitong Chamber of Commerce. Zhou Wenchen had never heard of it. Don't worry, you'll find out later. Let's go down first. We'll give you a proper welcome today, Mayor Gong prepared to pull Zhou Wenchen away. Brothers, why don't you come down and have a simple meal with us? Zhou Wenchen said to the soldiers who had escorted him. Mayor Zhou, there's no need to trouble yourself. We have to go back to report immediately, one of the soldiers replied. Hey! Mayor Gong hummed in confusion. Brother Gong, what's wrong? Zhou Wenchen asked, hearing Mayor Gong's confused sound. Brother, where did you get the clothes you're wearing? Mayor Gong asked. Mayor Gong, have you seen these clothes before? The soldier asked in confusion. Oh, I have, Mayor Gong replied. Every day, people from the mercenary guild come in and out, all wearing these kinds of clothes, so he was very familiar with them. But what Mayor Gong didn't expect was that even the soldiers of the southeast military region were wearing these clothes. Could it be that the supplies in Niu Xingguang's hands were brought out from the military region? This was an important clue. Where have you seen them, Mayor Gong? Take us to see, the soldier asked anxiously. Ah! This, hearing the soldier's anxious tone, Mayor Gong regretted asking. What if Niu Xingguang's supplies came from an unclean source? Wouldn't that drag his resettlement area into the pit too? Oh, Mayor Gong, don't worry. We are also looking for the source of these clothes, the soldier explained, seeing that Mayor Gong was a little scared. What? Could it be that the southeast military region is buying goods from Niu Xingguang? Is Niu Xingguang's business this big? He's even doing business with the military. No wonder he can build an underground base without batting an eye. A big money bags. With the soldier's words, several thoughts flashed through Mayor Gong's mind. Mayor Gong, the soldier asked again, seeing that Mayor Gong hadn't responded. Oh. We have a lot of them here. The mercenaries all wear these kinds of clothes, Mayor Gong replied. Since it wasn't dangerous, it wouldn't hurt to do a favor. Really? Several soldiers hurriedly stepped forward after hearing this. Yes, Mayor Gong confirmed again. Then please take us to see, thank you very much, the soldier said eagerly. No problem, follow me, Mayor Gong responded. To get from the tarmac to the street, they had to pass through the Huitong Chamber of Commerce Hall. After seeing this scene, Gu Qing'ai quickly sent the message to Niu Xingguang. Niu Xingguang frowned after receiving the message. Chapter 114. Soldiers? Which unit would come to the Merlin settlement? Their current reach only extends to the Central Military Region and the Southwest Military Region. The Dark Knight team of the Central Military Region has Shen Vengong and Luo Er, and the Southwest Military Region has Yan Fang. Niu Xingguang was worried that Gong Kaming was up to something, so he contacted Dongfang Chen immediately. Soldiers? How many people came? Dongfang Chen frowned upon hearing that soldiers had gone to Merlin. About a dozen. Niu Xingguang replied. Yan Zhengping just left, he shouldn't be able to reach Merlin so quickly. Besides, Yan Zhengping's destination is the Northeast Military Region. Merlin has nothing to do with him, so there's no reason for him to go there. Then it's very likely to be someone from the Southeast Military Region. Let's continue to observe for now, and contact me if there's any news. Dongfang Chen thought, a dozen people shouldn't cause any accidents. It's here. This is a mercenary guild established by a businessman in Merlin. The people in the guild all wear this kind of clothing, Mayor Gong said, leading the soldiers to the entrance of the mercenary guild. Several soldiers looked around, and the people patrolling the entrance were indeed wearing combat uniforms. The soldier felt that this information was very important, so he reported it to Zhong Zhenyu via satellite phone. Zhong Zhenyu was furious after hearing the report. What? A civilian force in a small settlement is wearing combat uniforms? Is there any justice? Is there any law? He, Zhong Zhenyu, had only gotten 200 sets of clothes on credit from the Southwest Military Region in the past 2 days, and he hasn't even paid the bill yet. He didn't expect that someone in his territory had already put them on. This made Zhong Zhenyu suspect that the clothes had been leaked from their Southeast Military Region. No wonder Yan Zhengping didn't let him investigate the origin of the equipment. Was he afraid that he would discover this secret? Outrageous, simply outrageous. Since the clothes were made in his Southeast Military Region, why did he run to the Southwest Military Region to buy them? Simply outrageous. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. He quickly grabbed his coat, went out, and headed straight for the Merlin settlement. Another one? Looks like a high-ranking official. Niu Xingguang was stunned again when he heard Gu Qing'ai's report. What kind of wind is blowing today? Why is it so strange? Commander, it's here. The soldier waiting at the door reported when he saw Zhong Zhenyu arrive. Mayor Gong was already exhausted from being tossed around. He had already waited for Zhou Wenchen and his party on the rooftop of the Huitong Chamber of Commerce for a long time. Before he could catch his breath, he took the soldiers back to welcome Zhong Zhenyu. What's going on? I really regret saying that one extra word, Mayor Gong thought, panting. But when he heard the soldiers shout Commander, he immediately perked up. My God! Commander? Zhong Zhenyu, Commander of the Southeast Military Region? Member of Congress. Mayor Gong wasn't a newbie in the officialdom, he had that much knowledge. At this time, he didn't feel tired at all. A big shot came to Merlin, it's going to take off. However, at this time, no one noticed Mayor Gong's eager gaze. Zhong Zhenyu looked around, and the people patrolling the entrance were indeed wearing combat uniforms. Zhang Yuankui, who was sitting in the guild's office, noticed the abnormality at the door, so he went downstairs and walked out. Mayor Gong, why don't you come in and have a seat since you're already at the door? Zhang Yuankui asked with a smile. Let me introduce you, this is the president of our mercenary guild, Tianxia. Mayor Gong hurriedly stepped forward to introduce. This is... Zhang Yuankui looked at Mayor Gong and asked. This is our commander of the Southeast Military Region, Commander Zhong Zhenyu, Mayor Gong introduced. President Tianxia, I would like to ask, where did your guild's combat uniforms come from? Zhong Zhenyu asked eagerly. Commander Zhong, our combat uniforms are all provided by the Huitong Chamber of Commerce. Zhang Yuankui was confused and didn't say much. Huitong Chamber of Commerce. Zhong Zhenyu had never heard of it. Oh, the Huitong Chamber of Commerce is a new organization established by a businessman in Merlin, Mayor Gong explained from the side. Great! Mayor Gong, take me to meet the president of this Huitong Chamber of Commerce. Zhong Zhenyu said happily. He thought, the combat uniforms must have come from this Huitong Chamber of Commerce. Ah! Congressman Zhong, how about we have a simple meal first, take a rest, and then I'll take you over there. Mayor Gong finally met a congressman, and he had to find a chance to build a relationship. There's no need to eat, lead the way. Zhong Zhenyu commanded with an unquestionable expression. Oh, okay. Mayor Gong didn't dare to refuse and hurriedly agreed. So, the group marched towards the Huitong Chamber of Commerce again. At this time, Zhong Zhenyu realized the difference in the Merlin settlement. The streets were bustling with people, and there were various small vendors on both sides. Such an atmosphere was rare in the whole country. However, he didn't say anything. Since ancient times, Yusui province has been a commercially prosperous and economically strong province, perhaps this is a business gene engraved in its bones. Soon, the group arrived at Niu Xingguang's office. Congressman Zhong, this is the big boss of the Huitong Chamber of Commerce, Niu Xingguang, Mayor Gong introduced. Boss Niu, this is Commander Zhong of our Southeast Military Region. Commander Zhong, I've heard so much about you. Niu Xingguang quickly greeted. Chapter 115. Boss Niu, I've come this time to inquire whether your company provides the combat suits for the Mercenary Guild. Zhong Zhenyu got straight to the point. Ah, yes, that's right. Niu Xingguang hesitated for a moment before replying. Excellent. Boss Niu, I wonder if you manufacture these combat suits yourself? Zhong Zhenyu asked, overjoyed. I'm sorry, Commander Zhong, the combat suits are not manufactured by our Huitong Commerce, Niu Xingguang replied. What? They aren't? Zhong Zhenyu was somewhat surprised. That's right. Commander Zhong, we are only responsible for sales and rentals, Niu Xingguang replied. Then, may I ask where your supplies come from? Zhong Zhenyu inquired. Hearing this, Niu Xingguang thought that Zhong Zhenyu didn't understand business at all. Who would ask someone where their supplies came from right off the bat? I'm sorry, Commander Zhong, it's not that I don't want to tell you. Firstly, I'm not entirely sure myself, as the location for picking up goods is designated each time. Secondly, we have an agreement that forbids revealing the source. If we violate this, we won't be able to get the goods anymore, Niu Xingguang fabricated a lie. Zhong Zhenyu didn't say anything and nodded to himself. This was very similar to what Yan Zhengping had said. Then, may I ask what the selling price of these combat suits is? Zhong Zhenyu continued to ask. Commander Zhong, telling you the selling price is useless, Niu Xingguang replied. This was a message that Dongfang Chen had just sent to Niu Xingguang after hearing their conversation. He already knew Zhong Zhenyu's purpose for coming here. He wanted to bypass Yanfang Fang and find the whereabouts of the supplies. How so? Zhong Zhenyu frowned. Because I'm not responsible for military channels here and cannot do business with the army, Niu Xingwang replied according to Dongfang Chen's instructions. You don't do business with the army? Then who is responsible for the military channels? Zhong Zhenyu asked. I'm not very clear, but it's said to be someone from the Sichuan area, Niu Xingwang replied. The reason for saying this was that Dongfang Chen didn't want others to think that Huitong Commerce had any involvement with the military, maintaining mutual independence. Sichuan. Zhong Zhenyu basically understood. The person from the Sichuan area that Niu Xingwang was talking about was probably referring to Yanfang Fang. It seems I can't get around that little girl, Zhong Zhenyu thought to himself. That's right, Sichuan. I'm not very clear about the rest, Niu Xingwang affirmed. Releasing information to this extent was sufficient. It could dispel Zhong Zhenyu's doubts and also refer the problem back to the Southwest Military Region. It's okay, I'll listen to your price here and compare it, Zhong Zhenyu asked. He wanted to find out if there was a difference between the two prices. I haven't started selling to outsiders yet, I'm only renting them out, Niu Xingwang replied. Why is that? Zhong Zhenyu continued to ask. Firstly, the issuance of currency is not yet perfect, and there may be adjustments. Secondly, people don't have what I need in their hands, so they can't buy them. Therefore, the current strategy is for mercenaries to rent the combat suits on credit after obtaining certification from the guild, and then use the crystal cores to offset the rent, Niu Xingwang explained. Zhong Zhenyu nodded, expressing his approval of Niu Xingwang. This could be considered a conscientious merchant. More people might not care about the lives of the common people. If you want to obtain equipment, you have no choice but to go out and kill zombies without protection. Although this is understandable, the business becomes a bloody business. Boss Niu is truly benevolent. Zhong Zhenyu complimented. As a senior figure in China, he rarely complimented others like this. Commander Zhong is too kind. I just want more people to earn crystal cores for me, Niu Xingwang said with a smile. Then, if I'm not mistaken, Boss Niu also has antigens in his hands, right? Zhong Zhenyu changed the subject. Commander Zhong knows about antigens. Niu Xingwang asked. Dongfang Chen had already told him about these things, so he certainly wouldn't be surprised. However, asking this way was the normal reaction. This sentence frightened Mayor Gong beside him, and he thought to himself. It's over. If Counselor Zhong knows about the antigens, then the Milan settlement will probably be wiped out. I've been to Sichuan, and I brought this batch of combat suits back from there. Of course, I know about the antigens, Zhong Zhenyu explained. Niu Xingwang nodded symbolically and then explained. I'm sorry, Commander Zhong, but it's the same. I can't sell the antigens here to the military either. Zhong Zhenyu nodded and didn't force the issue. Since both Yanfang Fang and Niu Xingwang were suppliers, it didn't matter to him where he got the goods from. At least he was certain now that Yanfang Fang and Niu Xingwang were both primary sources, and that was enough. It's okay. Since Boss Niu can't supply the military, I won't force it. However, the matter of antigens is too significant, and Boss Niu, as an ordinary private businessman, may find it difficult to protect them, Zhong Zhenyu said. Thank you for Commander Zhong's reminder, but the Mercenary Guild will provide security for the Chamber of Commerce, so I think there won't be a big problem, Niu Xingwang replied. Zhong Zhenyu shook his head with a smile. He thought Niu Xingwang was taking things too simply. Once the matter of antigens became widely known, countless people would covet them openly and secretly. Not to mention a small mercenary guild, the entire Milan settlement couldn't withstand it. But what he didn't know was that Niu Xingguang's confidence didn't come from the mercenary guild. Once Dongfang Chen established the Chamber of Commerce's independent underground base, no one would be able to threaten the Chamber of Commerce's safety. Chapter 116. Inside the underground base of Binjiang City. Commander, all the potions have been delivered, and the aircraft has returned. Do you want to upgrade the space station? Upgrade it. Okay. As Xiaolin finished speaking, all the images on the large screen disappeared, and the screen displayed. Space station is upgrading, please wait. 10 minutes later. Commander, the space station upgrade is complete, current level, level 3. The current space station has a total of 9 modules, which are as follows. Power Module, Level 3. Core Module, Optical Brain Level 3, Space Station Main Program. Central Hall, Level 2, used for connecting modules. Experiment Module, Level 2, provides technical solutions for the ground. Research and Development Module, Level 1, provides research and development solutions for the ground and space station. Control Module, Level 1, mission control for worker bee robots, ground-to-air spacecraft, etc. Production Module, Level 1, production and manufacturing of functional equipment. Quantum Communication Module, Level 1, realizes quantum communication between the base, supercomputing center, and spacecraft. Mounting Module, Level 1, mounts a miniature ground-to-air spacecraft 1. Well, let's upgrade the central hall to Level 3 first, Dongfang Chen said. Commander, currently, under the control of the main control module, the worker bee robots can perform a maximum of 5 tasks simultaneously. Do you want to upgrade multiple modules at the same time? Xiaolin asked. If all the worker bee robots perform one task at the same time, can the time be shortened? Dongfang Chen thought for a moment and asked. Yes, it can, Xiaolin replied. Then concentrate all the worker bee robots and upgrade the central hall to Level 3 first, Dongfang Chen replied. Okay, Commander. By the way, how many people have signed up for the first batch of trainees so far? Since Dongfang Chen sent the message to all sleepers to recruit trainees a week ago, he has not paid attention to the registration situation. The current number of applicants is 68. 68 people? It's still a bit few. Dongfang Chen muttered. This means that each person has recommended less than 2 people. How can this work? Send them another message, asking them to speed up the development of new people. Before April 1st, at least recommend 5 people each. Dongfang Chen thought for a while. It seems that he needs to set some targets, otherwise, everyone will not realize the urgency of the task. Okay, Commander. 2 minutes later. Commander, the message has been sent. Feng Hua sent a message asking if the soldiers in the army are okay. Xiaolin said. Tell her that as long as their character is good, their background is clean, there is no problem, Dongfang Chen thought for a moment and replied. Originally, Dongfang Chen didn't plan to develop soldiers as sleepers. But on the other hand, it's not bad to develop them. Although it seems that there are no problems in various military regions at present, it is hard to guarantee that ambitious people will not appear in the long run, and it is also hard to guarantee that they will not be infiltrated by cult forces. So it's always good to prepare in advance and take precautions. Has the deployment of the second-generation Queen Bee been completed? Dongfang Chen asked. The deployment has been completed. Well, has the plan for Funing District been completed? It has been completed, and the planning drawings have been sent to your panel. Dongfang Chen opened the message and glanced at it roughly. Well, let's do it this way. Okay, Commander. Now that the second-generation Queen Bee has been deployed, it is time to clean up the urban area of Binjiang City. Order the Queen Bee to fully manufacture ant robots, and use the urban area of Binjiang City as the boundary. Send out ant robots to clean up all the zombies, Dongfang Chen ordered. Yes, Commander. How many transport planes have been produced so far? 2 units, Xiaolin replied. Well, increase the production of transport planes to 10 units, Dongfang Chen said. Okay, Commander. The Power Research and Development Module in the base only manufactures one type of engine, which is the anti-gravity engine. Therefore, the aircraft produced by the Aircraft Production Module, whether it is his private plane or the transport plane planned to be used to transport materials and trainees, are equipped with this anti-gravity engine. Dongfang Chen was also afraid of trouble. Since an anti-gravity engine can be used for most of the large equipment in the future, there is no need to make it fancy. The second-generation Queen Bee is still powerful. Dongfang Chen sighed. The first-generation Queen Bee has limited capabilities. To do this, she must stop doing that. This has always been a headache for Dongfang Chen. But this problem is gone forever. How is the progress on the supercomputing center? Dongfang Chen asked. The Queen Bee in charge of the supercomputing center has completed the infrastructure construction and has just begun to manufacture quantum computers. Okay. Anyway, the computing power is still enough for the time being, and he is not in a hurry. If the number of sleepers increases and the business of the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild gets on the right track, the computing power will definitely not be enough at that time. But there will definitely be enough time. Xiaolin, next I plan to design a new combat suit, do you have any suggestions? If the level of the space station's research and development module is upgraded to level 2, the memory fiber manufacturing technology can be released, Xiaolin replied. Chapter 117. Oh? Tell me about it. Dongfang Chen was a little interested. Memory fiber is a synthetic material that has two states, excited and ground. Under the control of electrical signals, the memory fiber can be switched between these two states. What's the use of that? Dongfang Chen didn't quite understand. This memory fiber can be integrated into combat suits, and the shape of the combat suit in both the ground and excited states can be adjusted at the beginning of production. This way, one-button transformation can be achieved. Xiaolin replied. I understand. Does that mean that in the ground state, the combat suit can be made into the shape of any item? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes, but it needs a certain volume. If it's too small, it won't be able to accommodate the combat suit. Xiaolin replied. Okay, I understand. I'll think about it. How long will it take for the central hall to complete the upgrade? 3 days. Xiaolin replied. Then, after the central hall upgrade is complete, prioritize upgrading the research bay. Okay, Commander. Oh, right, after the space station is upgraded to level 3, can't the number of drone robots be increased? Dongfang Chen asked. It can't be increased temporarily. If all the cabins are upgraded to level 3, the upper limit can be increased from 500 to 1200. Okay. After the research bay is upgraded, upgrade the other cabins as well. Upgrade all the cabins to level 3 as soon as possible. After the upgrade is complete, increase the number of drone robots as soon as possible. Dongfang Chen ordered. Okay, Commander. Commander, Wukong is requesting a call. Xiaolin suddenly reported. Wukong, name, He Wenbin, sleeper cell serial number, 16, veteran, Zhang Ji's comrade. Connect. Dongfang Chen replied. Boss, I've discovered something strange here. He Wenbin reported. What's strange? Dongfang Chen asked. Last night, more than 20 people in the settlement were suddenly attacked by rats. Judging from the wounds, those rats should all be zombies. He Wenbin said. Zombie rats. Dongfang Chen understood that the virus was beginning to infect the animal kingdom. Yes. He Wenbin confirmed. Have those rats been caught? Dongfang Chen asked. No, the settlement headquarters has already mobilized everyone to search for them, but they haven't been found yet. Okay, I understand the situation. Contact me if you have any further news. Okay, boss. After hanging up the phone, Dongfang Chen frowned. This was very dangerous. Rats are very stealthy animals, and it's impossible to completely eradicate them with manpower alone. That means that from this moment on, all the settlements will enter another peak of infection. Fortunately, the weather in the north is still relatively cold, and mosquitoes and other insects have not yet become active. Otherwise, the harm caused by the virus would be even greater. The southern settlements had basically all been moved to the north last winter. The southwest military region was the last to withdraw, but Yan Zhengping borrowed a lot of transport planes from the southeast military region, and they have now evacuated almost completely. It seems that I need to speed things up. Huitong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild must cover most of the settlements as soon as possible. Dongfang Chen thought. The main problems currently facing him were 1. The underground base being built for the Huitong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild in Funing District, Binjiang City, would take a certain amount of time to complete. 2. There was currently a severe lack of management talent. It would be difficult for Niu Xingwang alone to rapidly expand the business. 3. There were currently insufficient crystal cores. Completing the expansion of the base's internal cabins was not a problem, but there were not nearly enough crystal cores to rapidly establish branches of the Huitong Chamber of Commerce and the Mercenary Guild throughout the country. 4. Building the influence of the Chamber of Commerce and the Guild would also take a certain amount of time. 5. If they vigorously developed personnel, the base's grain production warehouse would need to be further expanded, and the growth of grain had a cycle, which also required time. Time. In the end, everything requires time. I wonder if there are crystal cores in the bodies of animal zombies. Dongfang Chen wondered. Xiaolin, do you think animals as small as rats have crystal cores in their bodies? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes, all zombies must have crystal cores. Xiaolin replied. Then it should be smaller than the crystal core in the head of a human zombie, right? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes, Commander. The size of the crystal core is directly proportional to the brain capacity. Xiaolin replied. Wait, do you mean it's directly proportional to brain capacity, not body weight? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes, Commander. It is not directly proportional to body weight. Xiaolin replied affirmatively. Then it seems that most animals are unlikely to have crystal cores as large as those of human zombies. Dongfang Chen replied. Yes. Then, in that case, do we need to change our method of collecting crystal cores? Dongfang Chen asked. It's impossible for the crystal cores of 100 rats to have the same value as the crystal cores of 100 human zombies, right? No, the value of a crystal core does not depend on its size, but on its energy density. Xiaolin explained. So, the crystal core of a Tier 1 rat zombie has the same value as the crystal core of a Tier 1 human zombie? Dongfang Chen asked. Yes. Crystal cores of the same tier have the same value, regardless of where they come from. Xiaolin replied. Okay, I understand. Chapter 118. Afterward, Dongfang Chen and Ho Wenbin reconnected by phone, and he explained the previous events to him. Immediately following that, he used message reminders to share the information and the explanation of the value of the crystal cores with all the lurkers, as well as Niu Xing Wang. If all animal zombies had crystal cores, and they had the same value as human zombie crystal cores, then this matter would be easy to handle, and it would even be a great help to Dongfang Chen. Xiaolin, arrange for a portion of the ant robots to manufacture a batch of small queen ants for the Chamber of Commerce and the Trade Union to use, and make them into a shape similar to a tower-like launcher. I have a great use for them, Dongfang Chen said. Do you mean to disguise the queen ants as launchers? Xiaolin asked. That's right. Okay, Commander. How many do you need to manufacture? Xiaolin asked. Manufacture 200 first, and we'll talk about it if it's not enough, Dongfang Chen replied. Okay, Commander. His plan was to donate a batch of ultrasonic launchers to various settlements in the name of the Huitong Chamber of Commerce, one for each settlement. He would explain that as long as they buried this launcher underground according to the requirements, the ultrasonic waves continuously released by the launcher could protect the settlement from attacks by animal zombies. In reality, this launcher was the queen ant. It could not drive away zombies, but it could control ant robots to eliminate zombies. The final result would be the same as driving away zombies, and people would not notice the difference. His purpose in doing this was to take advantage of this opportunity to deploy the queen ants first. Since zombie animals have crystal cores, he could remotely send instructions to these queen ants to eliminate these zombies and decompose the energy in the crystal cores to manufacture more ant robots and supporting geothermal power rooms. In this way, he could use official channels to help himself accomplish the preliminary work of building the Chamber of Commerce and the Trade Union without investing manpower and crystal cores. Moreover, it could also create a wave of advertising for the Huitong Chamber of Commerce. Simply perfect. Then the biggest problem next was, who to talk to the council and release this news. The answer was obvious, Yan Zhengping. Dongfang Chen directly dialed Yan Zhengping's satellite phone. Xiao Chen, what's the matter? Yan Zhengping had just arrived at the northeast military region, and his butt wasn't even warm yet. Seeing Dongfang Chen's call, he was a little surprised, so he asked. Commander Yan, something big has happened. Dongfang Chen said in a very anxious tone. What happened? Yan Zhengping's heart skipped a beat. I found zombie rats here. Dongfang Chen replied. You kid, you scared me. Yan Zhengping breathed a sigh of relief and joked. You're so old, and you're still afraid of rats. Commander Yan, it really hurts my heart to chat with you like this. I kindly reminded you, but you actually mocked me. Dongfang Chen said dissatisfied. Oh? Remind me of what? Yan Zhengping didn't understand. Did you buy your position as commander with money? I'll just ask you one question. What would happen if zombie rats appeared in your military camp? Think about the rest yourself. Goodbye. Dongfang Chen hung up the phone angrily. Although Dongfang Chen had an element of scaring Yan Zhengping, it couldn't be said that there was no such possibility. Moreover, if he didn't say it seriously, Yan Zhengping wouldn't take it seriously. Yan Zhengping was so frightened by Dongfang Chen's words that he immediately became alert. Oh my god! What if zombie rats really appeared in the military camp? Wouldn't everyone suffer? Maybe by the time he returned to the southwest military region, the entire military camp would have become a zombie's paradise. I dare not think about it. I really dare not think about it. Old Yan, what's wrong with you? Did a rat get into your house? Suo Tonghua, the commander of the northeast military region, saw Yan Zhengping's face suddenly change and joked. Yan Zhengping was so frightened that he broke out in a cold sweat, and he quickly dialed Dongfang Chen back with a trembling hand, completely ignoring Suo Tonghua's teasing. The phone connected. Xiao Chen, I was wrong just now, I apologize to you. Yan Zhengping lowered his posture and quickly apologized. Oh, Commander Yan. What's the matter? Why did you suddenly call me? Dongfang Chen pretended to be ignorant. Xiao Chen, what you said just now is true. Yan Zhengping asked. What's true and what's false? I don't understand. Did you dial the wrong number? Dongfang Chen asked. Yan Zhengping looked at the number, it was correct. Damn, this kid is making fun of me. But at this moment, Yan Zhengping didn't care about that much, saving his life was the most important thing. Xiao Chen, I was wrong just now. I solemnly apologize to you. This is a major matter, I dare not joke about it. Yan Zhengping became serious. Haha. Okay, let's get down to business. Now I can tell you clearly that the zombie rat matter is absolutely true. If I'm not mistaken, it won't be long before they appear in every settlement, and in large numbers. I called you to remind you to prepare early. Dongfang Chen emphasized the words in large numbers to create a terrifying sense of imagery. Yan Zhengping stopped talking when he heard this. He paced anxiously in Suo Tonghua's office, walking back and forth. Dongfang Chen also didn't speak, quietly waiting for him to digest this information. Chapter 119. Xiao Chen, do you have any solutions? Yan Zhengping thought for a long time, but couldn't figure out how to deal with these zombie rats. If they were really to be caught, there would be no need to sleep for 24 hours a day, and it was not certain that they could be caught or caught completely. There are definitely solutions. It's just that the cost is a bit high, Dongfang Chen replied. Oh? What solution? Yan Zhengping breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that Dongfang Chen had a solution. I have 3 plans, upper, middle, and lower. I wonder which one Commander Yan would like to hear. Dongfang Chen asked. Speak properly. Yan Zhengping scolded jokingly. All right. I have just developed an ultrasonic transmitter. As long as it is deployed according to the requirements, it can completely drive away animal zombies, Dongfang Chen said. That's great, give me a few first. Yan Zhengping was overjoyed. What do you want so many for? 1 is enough, Dongfang Chen said. There are still several military districts. Yan Zhengping explained. Okay, I understand. But the price is a bit expensive. Dongfang Chen reminded. Although his purpose was to deploy them for free as soon as possible, one must eat 1 bite at a time, and one must walk 1 step at a time. If you offer it for free right away, the other party will think you have ulterior motives. How expensive is it? Yan Zhengping asked. But he knew that no matter how expensive it was, he would have to buy it. It's not a good feeling to have invisible zombies staring at you in the army all the time. 1,000 crystals each, Dongfang Chen said, stating a price that was neither high nor low. You scared me. I thought you were going to make an exorbitant demand, Yan Zhengping scoffed, thinking that this young man really didn't know how to do business. This kind of life-saving thing should start at least 10,000 crystals. He even had the nerve to say 1,000 crystals. Commander Yan, I'm giving you a great gift. It hurts my heart when you say that. Dongfang Chen started again. Yan Zhengping reacted. That's right. 1,000 crystals were nothing to him. But other military regions needed them. Wouldn't it be reasonable for him to sell them for 10,000 crystals? Wasn't this the same as picking up money? The other military regions would also remember his kindness. I understand. When I go back this time, I will reward you handsomely. Yan Zhengping said with a smile. Commander Yan, I haven't finished speaking yet, Dongfang Chen said. Oh? Tell me. Your military region has the financial resources, but the resettlement areas don't. If these rats were to get into the resettlement areas, alas! I don't even want to think about it. Dongfang Chen pretended to be very worried. Then what suggestions do you have? Yan Zhengping frowned. This was indeed a problem. Although the resettlement areas were nominally taking care of themselves, in the face of this kind of extinction-level disaster, the country had to have a good solution. They couldn't just watch everyone die. I have no suggestions. I am just a businessman, and businessmen seek wealth. The biggest concession I can make is to provide you with this ultrasonic transmitter at a low price. As for who pays for it and how they pay for it, I don't care, Dongfang Chen said, stopping at that point. Okay, I understand. This matter needs to be discussed. But our military region will take them first. Please hurry up and prepare the goods. I will have someone pick them up later, Yan Zhengping said and hung up the phone. He was in Suo Tonghua's office and it was inconvenient to talk in detail. Old Yan, what's wrong? You look so surprised. Suo Tonghua had been listening for a long time but couldn't figure out what was going on. Old Suo, something happened. Yan Zhengping imitated Dongfang Chen's tone, frowning and acting like a major enemy was at hand. What happened? Suo Tonghua quickly leaned forward, ready to be a bystander. We found zombie rats over there, Yan Zhengping said. Zombie rats? Suo Tonghua was puzzled. That's right. Rats live in groups. Think about it, if one appears, isn't a group far away? Yan Zhengping said, looking at him. That's true. Suo Tonghua understood. As long as one appeared, it wouldn't take a few days for all the rats to turn into zombies. Plus, with the rats' concealment, the destructive power of this thing was unimaginable. Alas, have you found any here? Yan Zhengping asked, pretending to be concerned. Not yet. Suo Tonghua replied, but his heart was already in his throat. Whether there were any or not, who could say for sure? It's good that there aren't any. But old Suo, you must not lower your guard. If someone gets bitten, I'm afraid the entire military camp will be in chaos before long. Yan Zhengping continued to pretend to be concerned. Suo Tonghua had already realized the seriousness of the problem and was constantly calculating how to deal with it. For a moment, the atmosphere fell silent. Old Suo, old Suo. Let's start with you first. Yan Zhengping was overjoyed, looking at him as if he were looking at a god of wealth. Old Yan, judging from what you just said, you already have a solution. Suo Tonghua thought for a long time, but couldn't come up with any good methods. A small rat could wipe out a well-trained army. This was no joke. Yes, that's right. I'm preparing to order a batch of ultrasonic transmitters. The ultrasonic waves released by this equipment can drive away animal zombies. Not only rats, but other animal zombies can also be driven away, Yan Zhengping explained. There's such a good thing. Suo Tonghua's eyes lit up, and he made up his mind to get a few from Yan Zhengping no matter what. Chapter 120. Yeah. I just found out too. But, it's a little expensive. Yan Zhengping shook his head faintly, sighing. What do you mean? Are people still doing business these days? Suo Tonghua didn't understand. Of course, and it's big business. Yan Zhengping glanced at him, looking at his unworldly appearance. Old Yan, enough. Did you come all the way here to make fun of me? Suo Tonghua saw Yan Zhengping's expression and thought he was just fooling around with him. Originally, I brought you some good things this time. But looking at you like this, you definitely don't want them. In that case, I have to go back quickly, lest my house be stolen by rats. With that, Yan Zhengping prepared to get up. Don't, just kidding. Just kidding. Sit down, sit down. Suo Tonghua panicked upon hearing this and hurriedly got up to stop him. Yan Zhengping didn't give him a good look and sat back on the sofa. My place isn't as good as the south, the news is blocked. Old Yan, don't take it to heart. Tell me first, where did you buy that so-called transmitter? What's the price? Suo Tonghua asked. He didn't care about what good things Yan Zhengping had brought. In his opinion, besides cigarettes and alcohol, what other good things could there be? What he was most concerned about right now was the rat problem. Ultrasonic transmitter, this thing isn't bought with money, it's bought with crystal cores. You know crystal cores, right? Yan Zhengping asked. I know. That thing grows in the heads of zombies, but I don't know what it's for, Suo Tonghua replied. Their higher-ups often exchanged information, so the matter of crystal cores was no longer a secret to them. One ultrasonic transmitter costs 10,000 crystal cores. Yan Zhengping said. What? Suo Tonghua exploded. What was the concept of 10,000 crystal cores? That meant killing at least 10,000 zombies. From last year until now, it was hard to say whether Suo Tonghua's troops had killed a total of 10,000 zombies. This was too expensive. What? You still think it's expensive? Once your barracks become a rat's paradise, you won't think it's expensive. Anyway, I don't think it's expensive. I've already ordered a dozen of them, planning to put one in each military camp, Yan Zhengping said dismissively. A dozen is hundreds of thousands of crystal cores. Suo Tonghua was shocked, so he asked. Old Yan, where did you get so many crystal cores? That's right, now you're getting it. Yan Zhengping thought. Hundreds of thousands of crystal cores are nothing. We get tens of thousands every day now. It's just a matter of a day or two. Yan Zhengping pretended to be boastful. Old Yan, you're going too far. How could you do such a thing? Aren't the lives of the soldiers lives? You're actually letting them go out to get crystal cores. Suo Tonghua couldn't bear it anymore, this was just nonsense. This was exactly the same expression as Zhong Zhenjiu had before. Only you know. I'm telling you, without this bit of confidence, would I dare risk the lives of the soldiers? Yan Zhengping said contemptuously. Then tell me, what is your confidence? Suo Tonghua questioned. Rongpo, come in. Yan Zhengping didn't waste any words with him and directly revealed his trump card. Rongpo directly pushed the door open, stood still, and saluted. Old Suo, come, let me show you. This is my confidence. This is also the good thing I brought you this time. Yan Zhengping pulled him to Rongpo's side and said. Immediately, Yan Zhengping explained the characteristics of the combat suit again. No wonder you dare to let people go out to kill zombies. After listening, Suo Tonghua understood everything. How is it? Awesome, right? Yan Zhengping smiled. Good stuff. With this, who's still afraid of zombies? Suo Tonghua exclaimed. All right, the message has been delivered, I won't stay any longer, you slowly digest it, I'm going back. Yan Zhengping said. What? Suo Tonghua was stunned. He had already prepared his posture, but Yan Zhengping didn't accept the move and was leaving directly. What's wrong? Old Suo? Do you have something else? Yan Zhengping asked, pretending not to know. It's not, did you bring any of this equipment for me? Suo Tonghua asked. I brought people, brought gasoline, and brought you the message, what? You still want me to bring you equipment? What are you dreaming of? Yan Zhengping teased. Then you have to tell me where to buy this equipment. Suo Tonghua was anxious. Call this number. Yan Zhengping handed over a business card, Yan Fang's. Isn't this your daughter? Suo Tonghua said, looking at the name. That's right. Yan Zhengping admitted. So, I came here to promote business for your daughter. Suo Tonghua realized. Old Suo, let me emphasize a few points. First, this thing is in short supply. Even our southwest military region hasn't been fully equipped yet. If it wasn't to preserve everyone's strength, wouldn't it be better for me to keep it for myself? Second, it's true that Fang manages the channel, but do you think our military region has the strength to produce this thing? Third, when your soldiers fight a battle with zombies, you'll understand what I mean. You also attended the meeting a few days ago, I can clearly tell you that without this equipment, the headquarters of our southwest military region would probably not have been able to hold on during the zombie siege that time. Alright, that's all I have to say. I'm going to the northwest military region, so I won't stay any longer. Yan Zhengping got up and was about to leave.